Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 17th of June 2021. This is The Gap, episode 570. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here, and it's been a busy week. E3 has wrapped up. Lots of game announcements, lots of game previews, news, all that sort of fun stuff. And some new games as well.
Lots, though. Lots. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots. It's whether or not the stuff you're interested in it has any impact, right? Like, I've got this E3 recap page open, which we use as a resource like every year.
Everyone,
8 pages.
If you don't know about it, it's fucking fantastic. The person who makes it is a fucking legend. Basically, they just collect every single announcement over the course of the week into one location, and you can sort of just click and see all of the trailers. It's to see it yourself, go to 2021.e3recap.com. It's not exactly chronological, but it's pretty well done. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah. So there's probably, this is 8 pages long. There's 80 announcements on each page. So we'll go through each one single-handedly, review each of the things we saw. Are you happy with that? Probably be finished tomorrow.
Easy.
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 Let's do it. Let's start off with the first one here. Anon.
Hang on. Just to clarify, so in 2020, there was 16 pages of announcements.
That's weird because last year there was no E3.
Last year was 2020. Yeah. So lots. I say again, lots.
Right. What happened last year? Was there any, or was it all digital?
I think they just announced some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, actually, 2018 only has 1 page, and 2019 only has 7. So maybe this is not the perfect measurement system.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's all happening. We're just joking. We're going to go through some stuff that we enjoyed, but we'll do that a bit afterwards because we got some games to talk about, things we've been playing.
Some games?
Yeah. What are we kicking off with? Dead by Daylight, I guess, is the first one on the list here.
Hang on. Before we do, let's do Tower Ball. Why are you still playing Tower Ball? You are currently playing Tower Ball.
Yeah, it's just open all the time. I just leave it open. It's an idle game. That's what you do.
Yeah, but like last time we spoke about it, which has to be 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You said you'd run out of shit to do.
They added more things to do.
Oh my god.
There's like extra levels that you can go and complete, and they upped the like damage multipliers and that sort of stuff. So I'm just it's not like it's taking up my time. It just sits there, and every 8 hours or so I jump in and I hold a button down for 5 seconds, and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Engaging.
an incremental thing. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's Tower Ball out of the way.
All
right. Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
New update released, sort of released. Some of it released, and then they took it away again.
It's still running. They took away the map.
Right, which is the free thing that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah, everyone gets. So this is Dead by Daylight, a Resident Evil chapter, which puts in a new killer, Nemesis, and 2 new survivors, Leon and is it Jill Valentine. Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical 4-player or 5-player multiplayer game for survivors completing generators in a map, one killer chasing them and hunting them, and everybody has objectives to do while this is going on. Each survivor has their own perks that they use to sort of work their way around the map and do different things. And so this Resident Evil update has added a couple of different changes, as well as a new map, which, as Joab mentioned, isn't working at the moment. So they ran into some issues with the console version of the game. It was crashing, so they've just disabled it for the meantime. It was crashing to some people. So they've disabled it at this stage. Not sure when it's coming back. But yeah, I mean, the killer's in there, the survivor's in there. Games seems to be doing pretty well. Like, they broke their concurrent player base records on Steam yesterday. 90, I think it was 96 or 97,000 players. So that's pretty good. And I've been playing a bunch of it, like stacks and stacks of running around with Nemesis, getting to like learn him a bit more. So basically, as a recap of his powers, he has a tentacle that he can lash out at people, sort of like a whip. When he hits them with that, it infects the player survivors with the T-virus, which glows like it makes them glow like a blue color. It also shows their portrait on the screen as blue as for being infected. And then any other time that he uses his whip, while they're infected, they take damage. And so that's his special power. And he can also M1, which will just punch them in the face. So you've got the option to either use the whip, which has a bit of range to it. Not a whole lot of range, but there's a little bit of sort of distance that you can close on other players, or you can punch them. And when he infects a player, they are able to vaccinate themselves with these crates that are throughout the map. I think there's 5 by default. If they do vaccinate themselves, they lose that T virus. But it also shows the killer where that player is for about 4 or 5 seconds, using one of the other game's mechanics that it's got. While this is happening, the map as Nemesis has 2 zombies roaming around the map, and if you are hit by a zombie, you are infected by the T-virus. If you're already infected by the T-virus, then you take damage. The zombies are a little bit sort of slow moving, but they can cause issues for like if you're not aware of where these things are, because they'll sort of block your path or try and throw you off a little bit. And so it's a really fun mechanic in there. Obviously, if someone knows what they're sort of doing, they can work their way around it. But it just throws like another layer of uncertainty. Or like I've had games where I've gone around a corner and there's just been a zombie standing like right next to the door and I've been hit by it. It scared the fucking crap out of me. So like that's the sort of tension that you want being brought into the game. I have seen people complaining about like it's sort of RNG based. Like there's sometimes nothing a survivor can do to sort of combat them. Like if there's something in the way of you and you're in a hallway, it's sort of like there's really nothing I can do here. I just have to take the hit. But that's just the nature of how he plays. Nemesis is not a strong killer.
Is it
He's
not
sort of
like
if mid to lower tier?
Isn't it sort of just trap meta type shit?
Right.
I mean, like if isn't the same. It's the same case if you like were to run down a hallway.
Yeah.
And you had the trapper behind you, and he'd already put a trap down in front of you. Is it not the same fucking logic there?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The difference between that is that the trapper has done something to reward them that kill, right? They've put that trap in that hallway on purpose.
It's a specific skill play, yeah.
Yeah, whereas this is just a random thing that's happened. There is a little bit, from what I understand, I haven't messed around with it, but from what I gather, if you as Nemesis hit a zombie with your whip, you increase on your power. He's got 3 tier levels, and also if you hit other players with your whip, tentacle. I keep calling it a whip. It's basically a whip. You increase your skill power. Level 2 makes you able to break barricades or pallets, and level 3 allows you to do the same, but with a bit extra reach as well. And so there's a bit of strategy involved in, do I kill this zombie and have them respawn again? It takes about 30 seconds by default. Or do I let this zombie roam around? So at the start of the game, maybe it's a good idea. If like this zombie is an area that you think you don't really want to pressure, or it's not really worth it, then you can sort of like eat that zombie, like kill it. You'll get some power from it and whatnot. So the thing that I've heard is that if you punch the zombie, it will respawn in a different spot that's near an objective. Like and I think if you
Oh,
whip
okay.
it, it'll kill it, and it'll respawn back in its same spot. It's I haven't played around with that, but
Right.
that is a
So
little
there might
less
be some
random.
skill play in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but there's obviously people have their own preferences on killers they want to face, and there's different tiers of who's sort of like A to S tier, and all the way down. I just think he's a fun. Like he's not. I don't think he's as powerful. Like I
Yeah.
think they buffed him. They did buff him for the from the PTB, which is the test server, which I talked
Yep.
about a couple weeks back. To this point, so they've given him a bit of buff, but he's still pretty like. I think he's still a bit. He's balanced. He's fun to play. Like, which is
What
why I like
makes
him.
him underpowered? I don't understand because it seems to me like, obviously watching you play is never a good fucking measure of how
Yeah.
good a killer is because you're the killer master. But like, yeah, it seemed to me like he was able to get fucking loads of information, had loads of
Yeah.
fucking different ways to get kills. Like, he just seemed like he had a lot of opportunities, and yeah, I just don't quite understand what makes him underpowered.
Right. In higher ranked games, the killers that are considered more powerful or like stronger heroes to use, which are generally like the harder ones to use, are the ones
Yep.
with the higher mobility. So like
Right.
Spirit, who's able to go turn into like a ghost form, move around really quickly. She can't see anybody
Yep.
though, but she's got high mobility. Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger, who is able to teleport around the map to generators, high
Yeah.
mobility.
Freddy's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
like characters that are a bit quicker and are able to move
Right.
around, and while still doing a lot of damage, are generally the ones considered like Nurse, who can teleport
Yeah.
around the map. They take more skill to be able to nail.
Yeah.
But if you do, they're like extremely lethal. Whereas Nemesis, he's like a default speed. He's like 115 milliseconds. I think he's 115%.
Meters per second.
Yeah.
You
He's
said
got a bit of
milliseconds.
reach on him, but if you know what you're doing, you can loop the guy, and you just sort of have to
Yeah.
stay clear of narrow areas, because his tentacle, you've really got to land it. Like the hitbox in that thing is tough, and so you
Oh,
want to
okay.
aim, you want to try and force them towards windows or pallets or like
Right.
small
Where they're in
hallways.
predicted
Mm,
like movement. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's got a bit of like um, you can use his zombies to determine where people are, because you can see his zombies at all time, and so if you see a zombie chasing someone from their aura, you know there's someone over there. So he can't get there super quick, but at least he's got information to gather from that, as opposed to other
Yeah.
killers who just really don't have that information on them unless they're running specific perks. So
So he'd be like mid tier, I guess. Then.
I think he's somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
middle to lower. But I just think he's really fun to play, just because of the
Yeah.
pure the like messing around with the zombies that are around. That sort of adds that extra bit of uncertainty for the survivors, because they'll be like, you'll pick up a dead player from the ground, and you'll see a zombie over near a hook, and you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put this player on this hook, and the zombie can just face camp this dude. Just like mind games like that. Or like if you're
Yeah.
you're trying to stop a generator from being completed and there's a zombie nearby, you kind of know that you can leave, and unless they have a flashlight to stun the zombie, you're gonna know they come back because you'll be able to see it. And so there's like bits and pieces about that sort of play style that I really I think is a lot of fun
Yeah.
to play with him.
Where's Pyramid Head rank?
I play a lot of him. I'm not very good with him.
He's my favorite fucking killer. He's the only one I ever play. Although
Yeah.
I'll obviously give Nemesis a punt when they bring Raccoon City PD back into the fold. I just don't want to play it until I can play the new map. I don't know.
Yeah, you might get a bit angry with this map. I told you, it's like massive. It's so big. It has to
Yeah.
be. It's the biggest map they put in. It's way too big. It should be split in
Right.
half. But
Right. Fucking hell. Yeah.
Pyramid Head is one of those. I do like playing him, but if you get a team that knows what they're doing, like I just get smashed sometimes, like because I'm just not very good at aiming that
Oh yeah, the
the
fucking
thing.
sweep
Yeah,
move. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah, right.
uh,
Yeah, cool. And what about the there's 2 new survivors as well, and I remember when you were playing on the the PTB or whatever it is, they it seemed like they had
fun.
actually semi-offensive tools in their
Yeah,
arsenal.
yeah. So they both
Is that
have traps, I guess you'd call them.
yeah.
Leon has a flash grenade that he can create, a craft. Basically, after you complete a certain percentage of a generator, you can then walk into a locker, craft the flash grenade, and it behaves as an item. So you can use that, or you can give it to somebody else. But essentially, you prime the grenade. He throws it on the ground, and after just a couple of seconds, it explodes. If it manages to get in the killer's vision, it'll blind them for a couple of seconds, and it'll also cause them not to be able to hear for a couple of seconds. So I've had some good fun with that. Managed to get a couple of good flash grenades off in killers' faces, which has been really fun. You can also use it to, like, if the killer has somebody on their shoulders, they're carrying them to the hook. You can use it to
Oh yeah.
it's sort of like a flashlight or
Classic
the
stuff, yeah.
firecrackers sort of thing.
Mm.
And then Jill has a trap which works pretty similar to Leon. If she does a certain percentage of a generator, she can basically arm the generator with a trap, and if a killer walks across and tries to kick it, which will start regressing the generator. I think it's a 30-second timer. So within that 30 seconds, if a killer comes across and kicks it, it'll stun them and blind them for... It's pretty long. It feels like 3 or 4 seconds. I haven't looked it up. But after that happens, it sort of... you have to kick the generator again. So the generator kicking doesn't complete. It stuns and blinds you, and then you're like, fuck, now I've got to kick it again. So it wastes a couple of seconds, like...
Yeah, like
for you to
7
do
seconds, right?
it.
What is it, like
Yeah.
1.5 for the kick and then the 3-second stun and then 1.5 again, so 6 seconds?
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
pretty long, but
Yeah.
there's that risk thing, right? There's a chance that the killer doesn't kick it. Maybe they chase you or something like that.
Sure.
So, but they've got a couple other perks in there that are fun. I just think it's a solid update. It's some good stuff in there that seems to be like I'm playing. Most of my games have been killer, and it's Leon and Jill pretty much every match yesterday. Everyone playing around with him and all that sort of stuff. I jumped into some Survivor, played some Leon. I haven't played any Jill yet. I'm sort of leveling up Leon at this stage. I'm like 40 levels in it, I think, at this point.
Right.
And he, most of my matches, I'd say like 95% of my matches were against Nemesis. So that was,
Yeah.
I played like one nurse or something like that, and a huntress. But people seem to be having fun with it.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah. I want to play this map again. This new map, sort of learn it a bit more.
I really want to play it. Yeah.
But they just been having like problems with. I don't know if it's related
people's
to
games were crashing when they were loading in or something. Is what the update said about why they were removing it.
And I don't know if they do a PTB on consoles or if it's just PC.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's why they didn't pick it up.
Right.
But the other thing they're having problems with today
they would have had to. It's an update, right? So it would have had to go through cert.
Yeah.
For the console, so surely that wouldn't be it.
Yeah.
Surely it's not the consoles.
It's
some fucking potato ass trying to play on his Samsung's smart fridge. And he's like, oh, it crashes my fridge every time I load into the new big map.
The biggest map in the game. Yeah. There was some problems with matchmaking today.
My meat's spoiling.
Which they which I think they've now fixed. But otherwise, I think it just comes down to it's just such a big update that they've just at least they've been on it. Like they rewarded people with a bunch of blood points yesterday. Which is cool.
Blood points are how you level up, for anyone who is wondering. 300,000 is about, I don't know, between 6 and 10 levels.
Yeah.
Because it gets more expensive the further into the web you get. But
and the most blood points you can get in a match is 3,200. So it's quite a few matches to play.
3,200?
32,000. Sorry.
Yeah, 32,000. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, it's good. I'm gonna check it out more. Hopefully they're bringing the new map back soon. Otherwise, I'll just cave and fucking play it. But the Steam Summer Game Festival is on now, so there's a fucking ton of demos out.
But Dead by Daylight's on sale as well. People want to check it out. It's 40% off at this stage. And I think it's also 40% off all of the previous chapters, so it's a pretty good deal. I feel like I saw something. I think it's like $14 on Steam. Dead by Daylight. It might be less. Anyway, it's pretty cheap if you haven't played it. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
And they got that new tutorial system in there as well, which I played. You can get easy blood points for that. It's like 200,000 blood points or something. Yeah, about 200,000 if you complete them all.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, Steam Next. Steam Next, is that what it's called?
Steam Next Festival, yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of demos, so you can check out, some upcoming games and stuff. I've only managed to check out one so far, although I did check out a bunch of, because Xbox is doing their own little sort of thing as well. So I managed to check out on Steam. I managed to check out Police Shootout, which is unbelievably trash. It is of the genre of those there's a group of developers from Eastern Europe who are churning out over and over again, just non-stop, these simulator games, and it'll be like Thief Simulator or Border Police Simulator
Simulator.
Hey?
I liked
Thief Simulator was trash.
What about Power Wash Simulator?
Power Wash Simulator is of a different. This is certainly similar. I did play a game like Power on the Xbox. I played Lawnmower Simulator, and that gave me extreme Power Wash Simulator vibes.
Yeah.
But no, these other simulators, these are like slice of life simulators that you just keep seeing more and more of, and they're always fucking like barely put together, and like just the same generic models over and over and over again, probably like straight from the asset store and whatnot. And yeah, you check these games out. They all play basically the same, and none of them are particularly good. But evidently, they must sell more than they cost to make, because they keep making more and more of them. And yeah, Police Shootout is of that vibe without being from that same group. And instead of being real time, because there is a police simulator, I believe, Police Shootout is turn based, but a first person shooter that's turn based. And so you like look around and you mouse at like cover that you want to move behind, and that costs you 3 action points, and then you aim and you shoot and it rolls some fucking dice, even though it's a first person shooter and you're literally aiming at a motherfucker, and you shrink the circle over the cunt, and then it fucking rolls some dice and it's like, oh, you fucking missed. And you're like, I fucking what? No, I fucking didn't. Fucking roll it back, motherfucker. Let's try this again. And then you miss again. And it's just trash. It's absolutely fucking garbage. I cannot believe this. Like, why? Why would you do
free
this?
Demo?
Why is this I'm so angry at this free demo. Anyway, I am angry at this free demo. So yeah. So I've only played that one so far because it kicked off this morning. But I did play some games in the Xbox demo list.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I want to say is the Xbox demo situation is such a pain in the fucking crotch to get anything out of. In the Steam Next Fest, you just click on the thing at the top and it's got everything like sorted into like different categories. It's very easy to find and blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh well, I'll just that's how I found Police Shootout. I was looking for cool shooters to play, shooter demos, and Police Shootout looked just goofy enough to be interesting. And yeah, no, that's not the case on the Xbox. For some reason, right? I suppose the same team behind the Microsoft Store has gotten their mitts on the Xbox Store. But to find anything, you either have to search for the name of whatever it is you're trying to play, which is clunky and awful, or you can search demos and then just go through every single demo that they have ever put up on the Xbox Store, trying to find anything from the list of games that exists. So I had to have the list of the 40 games that they're demoing. I had to have that on one screen and then like keep referring back to the other screen, but it was annoying. Anyway, I played. Let's see what did I play? I played Sable, sort of open world. Gave me some Journey vibes a little bit, but a little bit more structured. Pretty cool, worth checking out. That's on the Steam demo as well. Lawn Mowing Simulator. Sadly, I am too vibrant a person to find too much joy in playing Lawnmower Simulator, but seemed like exactly the sort of game that you might enjoy if you enjoy Power Wash Simulator.
I already bought it just now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Death Trap Dungeon, The Golden Room. I don't know if you ever read the Death Trap Dungeon books, or no, they were part of like a series, a different, like it was part of a series not called Death Trap Dungeon. Fighting Fantasy. Did you ever read the Fighting Fantasy books growing up?
No.
It was like a choose your own adventure mixed with a tabletop RPG, like a solo tabletop RPG. You needed dice and like a pencil, and you'd like gain stats and all that kind of stuff, and you'd go through these books and keep notes on your character sheet and then refer back to it to see how you went in these scenarios as they were written in the book. Fucking awesome books. Yeah, like probably, I talk about in how board games try to do things that video games do, and then it winds up like fucking Gloomhaven, right? Gloomhaven, in my opinion's biggest fault is that, and its biggest strength and biggest weakness is that it reminds me of a video game, and its biggest strength because it's trying to do so much and it's phenomenal in the amount of stuff it's trying to do, and its biggest weakness because all I can think of while playing it is if like even a fucking fraction of this was fucking automated, this would be so much less of a cunt to play. I would want to play it so much more.
Yeah, like why is this even a board game? Why not? Like a lot of designers in board games is sometimes video game designers as well, and you're like, why is this?
Oh, why not let's just skip ahead to there is a Gloomhaven digital adaptation, and I haven't played it yet. I do own it, but I haven't played it yet, and I assume it's got to be fucking way more, like way easier to deal with. So anyway, Death Trap Dungeon is one of these fighting fantasy books. This one is turned into a full motion video game, and I didn't love it, but I'd be intrigued to check out more of it. It didn't really have what I remembered from fighting fantasy games. It was very much more very like binary in its choices. Will you help this guy or can he fuck off? Will you like answer this riddle? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it had hard, like they were almost like quick time events. Because first you only had a certain amount of time to answer them, and second, if you failed, you were hard reset. And I don't know if that's just for the demo or if that's the permanent plan. But like if you chose incorrectly, and that didn't feel very good to me. Because I remember these books, there were definitely hard fail states in the books. But at the same time, you could make choices that were optimal or less optimal, and that was a big part of the appeal, you know, or at least as I recall them. So yeah, this didn't really have that vibe to me, but it was pretty cool. The chick playing the main character had this like real like sarcastic vibe to her that I thought was pretty I don't know, pretty entertaining. Sort of exactly where I was at vibe wise playing this game. What else was there? There was Death Trash, which is sort of like a real-time Fallout, like, but not like Fallout 3 or whatever, right?
Like old
All you
school
kids
Fallout.
out there, yeah, all you kids out there need to know that once upon a time Fallout was a top-down isometric fucking RPG, and this is along those vibes. It's got that demake pixelated art vibe and horror themes, fleshy beasts. There's like a I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a flesh kraken or something that's sort of just hanging out and wants to be your friend, and all these kinds of things. You roll around, there's like mutants to fight and people to help or talk to or hinder or whatever, and quests to do and loot to find, and it's got, yeah. I'm interested. I'm very interested. So yeah, that's probably my pick so far. That's on the Steam Next Fest as well, so you can play that on Steam. So yeah, you don't have to play that on Xbox, but yeah, that's those are the demos I've played so far. I feel like there was one more, but I can't remember what it was. Which is probably pretty telling, if I can't remember.
Yep.
Guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've played out of the demos so far.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people want to check out the Steam Next Fest that's going on for the next about week, and it's basically just upcoming games where you can play a bunch of demos that people have created and see whether or not you want to wish list it. I guess that's the main purpose of this thing.
Yep. Yeah. And the Summer Game Fest goes for about the same amount of time. So yeah.
Awesome.
Have a squiz.
All right, let's keep going here. What do you got next? Chivalry 2.
Still playing this. I honestly think Chivalry 2 is bad. Like, bad. It's got an 85 on Metacritic, and it should not. It should have a 65 at fucking best. 65 because I know someone's going to fucking give it a 9. But most of these fucking scores should be, like, around a 6. And my score would probably be sub 5. I don't think it's well made at all. And that doesn't, like, even ignoring the fact that I think the concept, like, I from at a core level, I believe that the choppy first person stabber slasher, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I believe that as a game does not lend itself well to the sort of scale of battle that they want to have in Chivalry. Ignoring my pitch for Hell Let Loose / Mordhau from last week, on a fundamental level, Chivalry 2 has so much fucking wrong with it. Absolutely abysmal. You cannot have a fucking game that is all about, like, literally collision detection between your fucking weapon and a person. You can't have a game like that and then have wonky collision detection. That's the entire fucking game, right? That's the fucking core of it. And I've been like suspicious that this was happening for fucking ages, but I didn't want to fucking like
Conspiracy
snap my
Joab.
hands around it. This is not a conspiracy. This is Joab, game critic, who has been fucking holding back judgment for a little while just because I haven't been playing it for review and I haven't been directly analyzing it. And I think it's easy to have fun when you're playing with fun people. But I've had enough of it.
Right. So is it a bad game?
Yeah, it's a bad game.
So it's not a 6.
No, that's what I was saying.
Oh.
I'm saying it would probably should have gotten a 6. Right, from the people who gave it fucking 9s and whatnot. One person would have given it a 9 anyway. Most people should have given it a 6. I would have given it a sub 5. And yeah, I think it's bad. Like the amount of fucking issues I've had, server issues, like constant server issues, constant fucking desync, lag, poor connection warnings when you press tab. Apparently I've got a ping of 0. Like non-stop collision detection errors. Like literally non-stop collision detection errors. Just fucking all over the fucking place. The amount of times you will hit, you get like, it'll tell you when you've done damage. And it tells you if you've committed a friendly fire incident when you've hit a teammate. And the amount of times you will hit a teammate because you're in the fucking fray and it will register the collision with the fucking teammate who's standing fucking behind you. It'll register that, and then it won't register the fucking hits in front of you. But the swords, like the fucking hit still goes through. They maintain the animation because the animation is important for the way that like each player engages in their fight. I've had like animations not occur, people hitting me while they're not facing me, like enemies hitting me while they're not facing me. Like you can't fucking trust anything you see, you can't trust anything you do, you can't trust the fucking network or the servers, you can't trust fucking anything in this game. And that's core shit. That is, maybe they should have had a fucking beta for this game. Oh wait, they did. They had closed alpha, they had closed beta, open beta, none of this, right? The open beta and closed beta were pure marketing exercises, which obviously we're used to at this point, but like still not good when your game has this many fucking issues. And yeah, it's just fucking frustrating, man. Like then there's the like that's the fucking nugget that's the heart of Chivalry. The heart of it is withered and rotten, and then you go outside of it, right? And it looks fun and you can have fun and it's possible to have a good time when you're fucking about. And if you're trying to play it like it's a objective-based team game, it is simply a purely frustrating experience because you, like I've said before, you can't actually get any of the fights that the game is sort of designed to enable. Instead, all you get are these R1 spam / left mouse button click and spam and like bash fests, these swarms, because there's no way for the game to enable a 1v1 combat, and it hides this behind this concept of realism, except it doesn't take into account the fact that like realism is ultimately, right, realism holds no meaning in a game where you respawn in fucking 7 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like the fucking premium strategy in Chivalry 2, and this is how I like I was saying the other day, the attacking team cannot lose, right? Or they have lost. I've seen them lose multiple times, right? And it's always because literally nobody on the attacking team will get on the objective, will do the objective. But if literally, and I'm saying literally a lot, and I realize it now, but it's too late. If a single person does objectives on the attacking team, the attacking team will win.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking time, right? Like, short of some sort of fucking sweaty spaghetti clan 20 stacking on the defensive side and then playing fully coordinated or some shit, right? Against a bunch of pugs, the attacking team, like, just one person needs to do the objective because, like, first of all, they're far too easy to complete. Second of all, the act of completing the objective is enough. Like, when you think about like the core concept of fucking the cavalry charge, right? What made the cavalry charge, the horses, so devastating to combat, right? In like when they introduced it en masse, was the fact that like, you couldn't necessarily stop these horses from getting through. And once a horse got through, you didn't have a front line anymore. And all of battle, all of the fighting was based around the concept of you're going to be fighting the people who are fucking standing in front of you and just fucking swing or stab or whatever the fuck at the person in front of you. But once horses get through that fucking line, and obviously being trampled to death isn't that much fun either, but once horses get through that line, it's fucking done, man. Like, it's over, right? And so, right, if you're gonna respawn in 7 seconds, literally all you need to do, and I said it again, I just noticed, is run past. You don't fight anyone, you run towards the objective. And what will happen is a number of people will turn around and try to stop you from getting to the objective, right? That's what they're supposed to do. 100%. That's what they're supposed to do. But what it does is it drags a number of people away from the front line, and it creates a imbalance, and it allows your team to push forward. The defensive team doesn't have the same opportunity, right? They don't have the same ability to renegotiate the front line because the attacking team gets to dictate the terms of the combat, right? They get to dictate, they get to say where the fight is going to take place, based on the fact that they are attacking, and ideally
and
the fight will take place.
Like,
yeah,
short,
right? Like, for the until they're literally. I did it again. Until they're on the fucking objective, at the end of the objective, the spawn point for the attacking team is fucking right there. So you trying to bust through the attacking team's wall does absolutely nothing. Maybe you kill an archer. It doesn't fucking matter. But you doing it to the defensive team, unbelievably disruptive. Impossible to fucking do anything about. Eventually, unless you send specifically, I nearly did it, one person to go deal with the one person who broke through, and you get that duel. But that never happens. First of all, the coordination doesn't exist. There's no such thing as leadership in a fucking pug medieval game. I have no idea how they figured out this map balance, but it just doesn't work. And then and that's those are maps where you have to push a cart somewhere, right? Forget that shit. If you actually need to, like, if all the attacking team needs to do is destroy something, that one person cannot be stopped from doing it. You can't. Everything you do to try to stop it will be for naught, because it's inevitable. They will inevitably complete their objective just by running up and hitting it once. running up and throwing one fucking fire thing on a village hut and then dying, it doesn't matter. They do it again. They can do that over and over again because the time frames for these fucking rounds are way too long. It's just so poorly designed from like at every fucking level. The only thing that it has really going for it is the art design, in my opinion. It's
a good look.
It's very good looking and visually distinct, and yeah, even then, like the amount of bugs you wind up with, the amount of times of like the starting every round starts with some dickhead yelling about oh, Agatha will not pay any more taxes, and like that's fucking 15 seconds at the start of every round. You're like, come, I'm here to swing a fucking sword a bunch. Shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a fuck, okay? Nobody, like, you haven't told any other story except that one team doesn't want to pay taxes. Why the fuck are you pushing this on us? But the amount of times the person doing the yelling hasn't had a head, or his clothes have been rendering in while I'm fucking standing there and shit, like, yikes. Anyway, fuck Chivalry 2.
All right, there you go. That's it.
That's it.
Let's get going here then. Rainbow Six Siege. This is the new update that's just hit, I'm assuming?
No.
All right, fair enough.
No.
Old Rainbow Six Siege.
Old Rainbow Six Siege. No, when does that update hit?
Isn't it out now? I thought I've seen people putting benchmarks up for like the new DLSS. People seem to think it's using DLSS 2.2, is it? And it's like really good.
2.2. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, no, we haven't checked that out yet. Me and Johnny Bravo were playing earlier this week before the update, I suppose. We were already like one of the first things we noticed is how many fucking frames we're getting out of this game. It's just really fucking well polished. Like they've fucking done such a killer job on making sure there's just very little reason for you to be dropping frames, which is fantastic. So yeah, just fucking kicking it out of the park. It still looks fine. I don't, it doesn't look
6-7-year-old game,
anymore.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's 6 years old. But it still looks fine, and everything is very clear as to what you're looking at, and which is important in a very sweaty competitive shooter. And yeah, we're just playing around, having fun. One of the things we noticed is, except for the very last match, which was on plane, which is always a shit show, we were just playing casuals. But one of the things we noticed was that we were top fragging 1 and 2 every single game. And by 1 and 2, I mean I was 1 and JB was 2, and he knows this to be true, but he's gonna try and say that, one round I was about, no. Shut up, JB. I was better. I was the best. No, I'm kidding. It was good fun, but yeah, there's skill-based matchmaking, and I think it did a good job in analyzing that neither of us had played in a little while, and so it didn't put us into sweaty spaghetti matches from the fucking get-go. It may have fucking overcorrected a little too hard, I think, because we were playing against some fucking real potatoes, but like, yikers, some of the shit we witnessed was big oof energy, as they say. But yeah,
I mean, that's still good. Like, it gets you back in the swing of things, learning the new operators, and at least you're having fun. You don't want the opposite, right? Of jumping in, just getting fucking slapped, and you being like, all right, cool,
all right,
uninstall.
Yeah, and yeah, these guys were they seem to be having fun and taking direction, and like you could say things on voice comms. None of them were talking, but you could say things on voice comms and they'd react to what you were saying, and they seem to be taking instruction pretty well, which is good. And you weren't being toxic dickheads to them, not to them. We were being toxic dickheads about them in Discord, but not directly to them. It was just good fun. like great to get back in the swing of that game. Definitely want to check out the new operator. I have no idea. I'm already getting 180 frames, and like obviously I should be with the 3080 and a fucking beast AMD CPU, but what the fuck is DLSS gonna do?
Well, the things that I've been seeing at the moment is that like on a what have you got, a 3080?
3080, yeah.
That you can run it in 4K and get like 260 frames.
Fuck me, that's crazy. All right, would you wanna? Do the pros in Rainbow Six? I've never actually thought to pay attention to this, but you know how in Counter Strike all the pros used to play at 640 by 480. Like, is that happening in Rainbow Six as well? They're all playing. They're like, well, why would I want to play the head boxes?
So small. We're like, where is everyone?
How am I supposed to get these?
No, I think it's a case of like you find the sweet spot. I would assume most people are playing like 1440.
Yeah.
And then
That's what I'm doing because I got a 1440p monitor with G-Sync.
Yeah.
So I G-Sync. I can G-Sync, but I can already G-Sync at 144. So yeah, I don't. Yeah. Although I did see that they're bringing RTX in as well. Is that what I saw?
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing, yeah.
Are they? I didn't hear that. That seems weird to me.
Yeah. No, maybe it was just. Oh, maybe it was
Doom Eternal
cobbled together with with Doom Eternal getting ray tracing. That's what I'm seeing here. Yeah. Yeah, because I was trying to work out what that would bring to the table, right? Like, what am I going to do with ray tracing? I can see off the reflection of that window in a van
coffee table. He's up on the stairs.
That would be fucking hairy shit. That'd be fucking amazing. But what a fucking difference that'd be. What a fucking lopsided affair that would be. Yeah. Anyway. Just having a lot of fun. Definitely keen to play some more of it. Check out the new operator, and all of that. But yeah.
Nice. Rainbow Six Siege. There you go. What's next?
Astalon, Tears of the Earth. I believe that's its full title.
I think that sounds about right, yeah. The way that the logo is sort of structured makes it look like someone in marketing was like, we need to have it this way. Otherwise, everybody's going to pronounce this game wrong.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. Speaking of the artwork and marketing, do not let the artwork fool you into thinking this is a Hyper Weave game, because that's what I thought. When my brother pitched it to me, he's like, oh yeah, you should play this. And I sent him a picture I sent him the main picture back. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a no from me, dog. He's like, no, just don't ignore that. I'm like, you're such a fucking weeb. You cannot convince me to play your fucking weeb games. He's like, ignore that, and just play it. And I'm very glad I did, because the cover art, the weeb-tastic cover art, is not representative of the actual game experience. Which
there's a picture here with, she looks like she's wearing like I wouldn't call them thigh-high boots. I think they're higher than thigh-high boots at this point. And like a
gash-high boots,
one-piece bathing suit with a extremely short, I don't know, cutoff.
And like based on this picture, right? Based on the proportions that are sort of implied in this picture, right? Her legs have to be 5 times longer than the rest of her, or like her entire torso, and then her head, I believe, is 1.5 times the size of her torso. Like, she's like some sort of fucking Pac-Man or some shit. It's
Yeah.
just like they've managed to squeeze some torso in there. Yeah, do not let. Oh my god, this artwork makes me cringe. Anyway, don't let it fucking fool you. This is one of the best like Metroidvania games I've ever played.
Yep.
It is fantastic. It is absolutely fucking brilliant. The way it just keeps unraveling and unraveling. I finished it all, like over the course of the week. I had like the game conferences up on one screen, and I was playing this on the other. And yeah, I finished it apparently 16.2 hours. I'm certain I fell asleep for a couple of those, but like yeah, just I don't know, man. It is really fucking good. It starts out, you got to get past the like. There's I hate it when you got to make these caveats for games, right? But the first thing you got to get past is the cover art, and then once you get past the weeb-tastic cover art, you got to get past the first boss,
Yep.
right, to really understand it. Because until then, it sort of just feels like a I don't know, like Shovel Knight, but not as good as Shovel Knight, and like it's got that Shovel Knight style art, but you can't like jump the way like there's this motion to Shovel Knight that I think makes it really satisfying to play and gives you a real good sense of momentum and like rhythm, right? And that's what makes Shovel Knight feel fucking great. Is once you get into the rhythm and the flow of Shovel Knight, you just sort of fucking bounce everywhere and you fucking feel like you've mastered. Like there's a sense of mastery there that won't be available to you until like at least after you've killed the first boss. And so it's like brutally important that you kill the first boss at least before you render judgment on the game. But I recommend pursuing it way further than that. You just it just keeps unfolding. It's like it's been balled up into a tiny thing, and then you unfold it once, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, so now I can do this, right? You've got these three characters. It's a Metroidvania. You've got three characters. Each of the characters has different abilities, has like different strong suits, and so yeah, you've got the wizard, or you've got the mage, you've got the archer, and you've got the warrior. And you start by playing, and you playing around with the. I recommend going with the mage, right? Because the mage can sort of attack through obstacles, and when you're really little, you take a lot of damage from enemies. But if you can hit them without them being able to hit you, because you're attacking them via like through an obstacle, you can get away with a lot of shit. And it's sort of slow paced, and you're like, okay, and you hit, and they die, and you move on, and you can when you die, you can like upgrade. So it's like a little bit soulsy, in that, like, you know, when you kill things, you get their souls, and you can spend those soul points on upgrading and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you, when you're looking at the shop, the death shop, the god of death shop, who allows you to upgrade, make sure you scroll down. I made that mistake, and my brother was like, I was like, dude, how the fuck do I do blah? And I won't tell you what blah is because it's a bit spoilerific. Because I was literally up to the last boss when I asked him about this, and when I learned about it, I'm like, how the fuck do I do blah? And he goes, what? You buy it from the shop. I'm like, I think I've bought everything from the shop, and I can't. And he goes, oh my god, have you scrolled down? And so I immediately died in game, and I scrolled down, and there was all this shit I hadn't fucking touched. I'm like, oh my god. And he's like, how the fuck did you get to the last boss without? Anyway, it was painful. Anyway, like not bad painful, just things were harder than they needed to be. Once I had unlocked all these other things, I'm like, oh my fucking god, that's how This game just keeps unraveling. Anyway, so you start off playing as the wizard or the mage, and you're like, yeah, cool, and you kill the first boss, and then you roam around a little bit more, and you find this the sword of mirrors, I think it is, and suddenly like the warrior, when he attacks, can like bounce projectiles back, and that's huge because you come up against a lot of projectile based enemies, and you can just bounce shit straight back at them, and you're like, okay, cool. And so then you start unraveling the fucking power of that guy, and then you find something for the wizard where I won't go into details about all the things you find because finding all that shit is sort of part of it. But one other thing I will say you find is you find this ring that tells you when there are secret exits to rooms, and you're like, what? Hang on, there are what? And because it's built like a classic Metroidvania, Castlevania, Metroid game where you go through a single screen and then you move to the next screen, and the screens are always the same. They're not random, so you know what to expect from each screen, and you can get a map that maps out everything a la either of those games, and so you can see where the exits are on the map. It's sort of a different colored line. If there is an exit, it will show on the map, and you know that you haven't explored beyond a room if there's a line and there's no room next to it. So that's a good way to keep track of your fucking progress. And then you get this ring, and it tells you when there are secret exits, and you don't fucking know where any of that shit is. But suddenly you go back to the start of the fucking game, and you start rolling back through places you've been before, and you see the ring blink, and you're like, oh my fucking god, there's a secret exit here, and you look for it, and the game unravels again. It unfolds a fucking, but like by the time you get this, it's unfolded like fucking 8 times, and then it can still unfold further because you find shit in the secret exits that like just unravels it further and further, and it's something, man. Like bananas how deep it goes. It is fantastic. And then I think the story's pretty cool. It's got a fairly good narrative, probably a little underdone, underbaked, but there's like a lot to it that I enjoyed. Yeah, the boss fights are pretty cool, and I'm debating whether or not I tell you this or not, but there is a way to make the entire game much easier than it is. I will say that you can hold down the attack button and your person will auto attack. So you don't need to like tap attack. And yeah, using that knowledge, you can make the game pretty easy for yourself. And definitely play on controller. Absolutely play on controller. 100%. But nice. Yeah, one of the best Metroidvania games I've played in fucking forever. Just, I love that it uses, it uses the Souls style shortcut based like progression. So you'll know you've actually made some good progress when you unlock a shortcut, and there's like different layers of the shortcuts as well. It might be just a shortcut through a room, like you get to the end of a room and you press a button, and then next time you go through that room you can just like belt straight through the room, you don't have to press the button. Or it might be you go like 3 rooms over and you smash a block, and then next time you go through that first room you can go a completely different path. Or it might be you take an elevator, or it might be a secret exit, or like all these kinds of things that allow you to like feel a sense of like traversal progression. And then there's the actual progression that your characters feel when you upgrade them, and they're like doing way more damage. And then yeah, the proper progression of the story and the bosses and all that kind of stuff, and all of that entails, because killing each boss allows you to unlock new doors, gives you like a key that allows you to unlock new doors. Actually, one of the biggest things, I will say this right now, when you're in the underground, if you're playing it and you're in the underground, right, and you see a room with 4 keys, right, and 3 of them are blue and 1 of them is white, do not waste your fucking blue keys in that area until you are near, like, basically finished with the game. You will fucking spit. I basically nearly fucking rage quit when I found out that I'd pissed away 3 blue keys, because you do not get enough keys. It feels like I spent some time just hunting down keys, and it was probably the most annoying thing that the game did to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it baited me into using 3 of them on fucking nothing, I was pissed. So yeah, important to note, but yeah, didn't detract from my overall experience of the game. So yeah,
Cool. All right. So,
um,
anything else to add
yeah,
for that?
I don't think so. Like 100% recommended. Yeah, it's a brilliant game. Definitely
Cool.
worth playing.
So it's Astalon Tears of the Earth. It's available on consoles and PC.
Actually, hey, you've seen Mythic Quest, right?
Yeah, not the
Do you think
latest
it's
one.
Tears of the Earth or is it Tears of the Earth?
Oh,
Mm,
could be Tears.
could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Next up, the last game we've got here is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the brand new first party game from Sony. This is from Insomniac Games, the creators of titles such as Spyro the Dragon, Resistance. What else they done? Ratchet and Clank, obviously, Sunset
Obviously.
Overdrive, and most recently the Spider-Man series. What were you gonna
Yep.
say?
That was it.
Yeah, they're the noticeable
Yep.
ones. So this is the first sort of big PlayStation 5 exclusive game for Sony this year. Ratchet and Clank is basically a platforming game where you play as the title character Ratchet and his sidekick Clank, where they have a incident in their dimension that pulls things apart. Everything gets really wacky, and they find themselves in a completely another reality or dimension where there are alternate like things that they recognize, but stuff isn't quite right. And this dimension has a another Lombax named Rivet, and basically you switch back and forward between these two characters, and you play as both of them. You explore different types of planets as you're trying to try and resolve this rift that has broken out, and bring the dimensions back together, because the main villain of the game has ended up in this other dimension and is trying to take it over and causing all sorts of mayhem, which has made all these rifts start appearing in the universe, and it's collapsing itself, and all this wacky stuff is going on. But it uses like Insomniac's. I've not played the other Ratchet and Clank games, but I've heard quite a lot of their like weapon design and that sort of thing, and it plays off of that again. Like it uses a lot of varied types of weapons that have alternate fires and wacky sort of attributes and things that they do when you use them. And there's quite a lot of them in this game, so it's got a lot of variety there. The game itself looks amazing. It's really visually stunning. It's like, I don't know, like if you look back at a Pixar or a DreamWorks film 10 years ago, it's sort of like you playing one of those games. It's just such, the art style is so great, and I'm playing it on 60 frames per second with ray tracing. There is another mode which has 30 frames per second. without ray tracing. Sorry, with ray tracing, and that is a like a sort of close to 4K resolution, but it's not. It's only doing 30 frames per second. Like Digital Foundry did a pretty good analysis of this thing, where it's using like a dynamic resolution, and it doesn't seem to drop too much between 4K and somewhere around that. But the 60 with ray tracing is more around the 1440p, a little bit lower sometimes. And so I don't know, personally, like I think it works well at 60 with ray tracing because it makes it look great. I think the extra frame rate, especially for a fast-paced combat like this, like fits really well. And so this is sort of what I'm excited for with this generation of consoles now, is this option. The sort of PC games have been known for like being able to jump in there and tinker with different settings and mess around with it so you can sort of have it to your own liking. And the being able to do that on consoles now is at least a nice way of being able to handle that. Being like, if you want to have all the bells and whistles, you can. It'll look amazing, but you've got to sort of compensate for that frame rate. You'll have to play it at 30. So I like this idea of giving the player the option to be like, well, you do it the way you want to do it. And so, I like the 60 frames per second on games like this. I think it feels really good. And yeah, like I said, it looks fantastic. It's just such a neat art style. Everything just pops. Like the colors are fantastic. It just stunning game. In terms of the gameplay, it's it's a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of platforming in there. You're doing I guess the stuff we saw a lot of in the demos is like interacting with rifts, sort of like a grappling hook, and that's a really neat it looks cool, but it's at the end of the day it's kind of just a grapple. Like that's pretty much all it is. They've just done a really nice way of presenting that using the hardware that they're able to work with now, and the power of the SSD and sort of what that allows the developers to do by being able to really quickly move you from one location to another. With these sort of arena-based rifts, they don't really do a lot with that. It's kind of just getting you from one spot really quickly to a ledge or something like that. But then they start mixing in the jumping between worlds, and they do that a couple of times in the game, and that's where it's really impressive of you basically like going between planets and seeing all these giant worlds just appear in front of you as you go through a portal, and there's not much sort of downtime in between. It's like a couple of seconds, like 2 seconds at the most, and when you're in this enormous environment battling this thing and all of a sudden you're in a completely different world, that's the stuff that's really impressive with what we're going to be seeing going forward with these with what developers will be able to do with these games. There are sort of other interesting things they do with the technology, like being on a planet and switching between different dimensions but still being on that same planet. It reminds me very much of like Dishonored's what was that map called? A Crack in the Slab, where you use the time thing, and you're in the same level, but you're switching back and forward between different time periods. Or the Effect and Cause mission from Titanfall 2, right? Yep. It's doing something very similar to that, where you're on the same level, sort of, but like when you're switching between dimensions, one dimension, it's a mining planet. The other dimension, this planet has exploded and there's debris everywhere, and like it's just a complete mess. And so you work with the environment to sort of solve puzzles by switching between the two to navigate this area. It's a little bit like, hey, there's a crystal here. You have to hit the crystal with your hammer, and then it switches you to the new dimension. And it takes like a split second for that to happen. It's not as instantaneous as like in Dishonored, or you can sort of see the inner workings of it happening. But when it happens, it's still it's still cool that you're in this enormous world and it's happening like right in front of you. Whereas in Dishonored and Titanfall, it was more or less contained to you're in a hallway, and it's got like it's doing less. It's obviously still super impressive, but there's not a lot of you're in a hallway or like in a room or something like that. Whereas this is an entire level that's going on.
It's
like
taking that core idea and ramping it up to the next ratcheting it up to the next level.
Yeah. There's other things like they're called pocket dimensions, and they're sort of like little mini puzzle areas, and you'll grab you'll break the rift open, and it's sort of like Portal-esque, where there'll be a wall there, or like an empty a ledge, or like where the ledge just drops off. You open this portal and you can walk through it, or like see an entirely different room or like level in there. You kind of walk through and all of a sudden I'm in this completely different area. You can turn around and then like, this tiny doorway, see the other level that you're in, and like look around it, like, and there's nothing there. So they're doing little trickery with sort of like a Portal-esque thing there. And so it's just impressive, like being able to look at the technology of this hardware with this SSD and what we're going to be able to see going forward. But I think at the end of the day, it's pretty basic in terms of its combat. It's not a challenging game. I played it on normal. I don't think I died in combat at all. And most of the times where I died was platforming stuff. You don't really die. You kind of just respawn back where you were type thing. So I think it's aimed a bit more towards maybe like casual play. So if you want a bit more of a challenge, I'd bump the difficulty up, but it is what it is. And what else is there I can talk about? Weapons. Platforming is a little bit what's the word? I wouldn't call it janky. It's it's not as polished as what I'd like it to be. Like you'll be jumping from ledges to ledges, and you feel like you're about to make this jump, but your character will like snap to the ledge and like grab onto the side of the ledge and pull him or her self back up, and it's just not like a smooth transition or animation that's happening there. It just feels like, hey, I could have made that without you doing this weird like snap on effect to the ledge to make me jump onto it. So that feels a bit not as blended properly as some of the other animations in the game. But otherwise, like the most of the platforming is fun. It's not doing anything new, anything we haven't seen before. It's pretty basic. Every couple of levels or every couple of planets you go to, they sort of throw some sort of new mechanic at you. They implement a lot of Spider-Man game mechanics in there, which is very interesting. There's like swinging at one point, like these things that you can grab onto, and there's swinging mechanics. You end up getting like rocket boots for your feet, which makes you travel faster. There's like a dodge which you get, so like every once in a while they throw something else at you, so it's a nice progression of ramping up on the mechanics and changing things as you go along. I just didn't find it as challenging as what I thought it was. I would say that it's like an 89 on Metacritic. I getting lots of 9s and 10s. I wouldn't put it there. I'd probably be somewhere around about an 8 to 7, 7.5 probably.
All right.
Just purely because, like, for me, a 9 or a 10 is something that I think is like changing. Like a 10 for me is like Red Dead Redemption, where I think it is actually impactfully changing video games. Like it's doing something we haven't seen before, and doing it extremely well. Whereas this, it's doing stuff that we haven't seen before. But that was kind of like when you make a YouTube video and all the comments are like first, like everybody's like trying to get there first. I'm not saying that Like, this is not what Insomniac done. But like the
Right.
technology was there, and Insomniac just happened to be the first ones to come out with it, right? Um, and that's not putting them down as to like they did a, you know, they still did a phenomenal job with it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is kind of expected. This the stuff we wanted to see from this technology. Um, so yeah.
Nobody else. Who else has done it then? Who have they beaten? Like, you can't say that they're just the first to do it when nobody else has anything like it in the pipeline.
Well, no, I like the examples I just gave you, right? Of like we've seen this sort of technology with Dishonored or Titanfall before. It's just done a lot quicker here and at a larger scale. I look, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I had a lot of fun. I just think there's some little bit of it's not as polished as what I'd like it to be, and
Right.
it just doesn't go that extra like things that I haven't seen before in a game, or that I would be like, hey, I'd give this a 9 or a 10, or like just push that a little bit further. So there's awesome set piece moments in the game where you're, like I said, switching between different planets. Or there's one level on it's like a giant pirate level where there's this robot, huge robot that is basically following you around, and you're on like zip lines and rails and jumping around, and yeah, it just looks fantastic. Like they do that a couple of times in the game, and it really shows off the scale of what they're trying to do. So yeah, like I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's a great game that people should definitely check out and play.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to add.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We got loads of E3 shit to talk about anyway. So I'm gonna check it out next week, or hopefully for next week's podcast, I suppose. I didn't get a code in time, but I should have one for next week's podcast. We'll see how I feel about your insane fucking take that they weren't fast enough on the draw.
No, I'm saying that like
not,
they
not
were
original enough with their broad scale level switching technology.
No, I just think that it's getting it's like a 9 on Metacritic right at the moment.
Yeah.
I think when people will look back at this game, it's not going to be on the same level as like when I grew up playing games that was like Mario 64 were like the pinnacle, right? Of it was just doing this insane stuff. And if I was a kid playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, like I'd love this game. It'd be amazing. But at the same time, it's very like it's stuff we've seen before. It's doing it well for the most part. It's just not like the whole grapple thing looks amazing when you do it, but at the end of the day, you see it in a level a bunch of times. You're like, it's not really like cool. Like it looks awesome, but it doesn't really add a whole lot to the game, really. Other than from you getting from one point to another just really quickly. So I don't know. I think
that's such a what the fuck here is going on here? This is some Joab level cynicism.
It's not cynicism. I'm
Out
saying
of here, Luke.
Some
Joab level cynicism. I tell you. What? Yeah. So you grapple. Who fucking cares? Okay. Nobody cares about you grappling. Okay. In your children's game. I don't know. I'm just surprised, Luke, because it does feel like some sort of shit that I would say. And then I'd be like, wow, Joab, that was a bit cynical. Like after the podcast, I'll be like,
yeah. So like there's some areas that I went to in the game where there's collectibles and stuff like that you can go back and find, and it'll either give you unlocks and that sort of thing to make you more stronger or added defense or whatever. So there's some incentive to go back and collect some of this stuff. And when I went and did that a couple of times, there were areas that it just didn't feel like they'd gone through it enough and refined it and been like, oh, what happens if someone does this? And so, for instance, one of the levels, it's like an ice level, right? And I had to switch between these dimensions. And as I got to the thing that I needed to get, I picked it up, and then I couldn't figure out how to get back to where I was to switch the dimension back. Because every time I went up the ramp, my character would fall down because it was too icy. And I'm like, all right, that's all right. So I then went back to the this was basically at the start of the level. So then I started working my way back around, being like, oh, maybe I have to run through the whole thing again. And when I did that, I got to the bottom of this elevator and I couldn't get anywhere else. And so I went back up and I'm like, what the, like, how am I supposed to get to my ship so that I can leave? And I was just like, fuck it, I'll just jump off the edge and die, I guess. And so I did that and it respawned me back to the other dimension. And then I could leave. And I'm like, all right, well, that was...
Oh, great.
Yeah, and there was another section where I went back and was doing collectibles again. And the first time that I went past this area, there's this big cinematic set piece thing that happens as you're zipping around and whatnot. But the second time that I did it, that wasn't going on. But instead, as I'm grinding these rails, the camera was behaving as if that cinematic was still there. And so I was doing this rail section and the rails start breaking. Like there's like a crane moving these rails. And as that's going on, the camera starts sweeping away and I can no longer see like what is happening. And so I'm like having to time my jumps. I died at this part like 15 times because I was just trying to memorize, like get the timing right because I couldn't see my character.
It didn't reset when you died.
It was resetting me back at the start of the rails, but because the camera just kept thinking it was in this cinematic moment, my character kept going, but the camera is like crazy. Zooming around, and I'm like trying to time the thing, and at the end of this rail is one of those jumps where there's like a spidey swing, and I can't even see my dude at this stage. Like I'm just pressing it and hoping that he swings on it, and then I've got to jump and get into this pipe, and it took me a while, and all I wanted to do was get this fucking collectible thing.
That sounds pretty hilarious.
And I was like, that kept happening. I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll just reload the checkpoint. And I reload the checkpoint and it puts me exactly the same spot. And I'm like, fuck, if I'm stuck here, I'm in a bit of trouble because I don't know what else to do.
Did it keep doing it?
It kept doing it, but I nailed the jump.
That's awesome. Did you record it?
No. I should go back and check.
There's a fucking share button on the goddamn PlayStation. Just press the share button.
I should go check and see if it's still happening. But anyway, like a couple of issues. But yeah, I think people should check it out. It's an awesome game. It's a lot of fun. Looks fantastic, runs great, and you know, it's exciting. Like what a pickup by Sony to get Insomniac. Just like
yeah, for sure.
Wow. Between Spider-Man and like Ratchet, and potentially, I guess they may be doing something with Sunset Overdrive. It sounds like. Yeah, it's a nice pickup from them. All right, so that's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, available now on the PlayStation 5, and that is it. Okay, big week of news. E3. This might take a while. It's gonna go through.
Yeah.
Let's kick off with, what was it? The Summer Games Fest. Summer Games Fest, yeah. This is the Jeff Keighley run joint. Opened up with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This is something that was rumored. We talked about it last week. It is a spin-off to the Borderlands series. I guess we were sort of unsure of what it was going to be, and it sounds like it's a shooter. A looter shooter. An extension of that DLC that they did for the other Borderlands game, which was received really well. I was a big fan of that one.
Yeah, like I think it's probably the best received DLC that they ever did, right?
Yeah.
Just because it had such a strong sense of itself and such a unique take on a lot of, like, there was clearly a lot of love for both the franchises that it was semi-parodying, you know, Borderlands and Dungeons and Dragons both get skewered quite well because clearly the team making it understood the essence of them both quite well. So I have a lot of faith that they can, you know, hit the same notes.
Yeah.
As a result. Yeah.
So that should be something to keep an eye out for. Next up, there was something that I don't think anybody asked for, but it's a Jeff Keighley joint. So we had a appearance by Kojima to show off Death Stranding director's cut. I think what's worrying is that Death Stranding apparently wasn't a director's cut. Like, who was telling that guy you can't put this in the game? At what point?
What was there that they were like, sorry, Kojima, but you can't
Look, do that.
Hideo, mate. Hideo, listen, sit down, mate.
We can't have Norman Reedus going down
on Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the director's cut, you can finally see Norman Reedus's penis.
Ah.
The Norman Reedus penis.
Yep.
That's the dream. Finally. Because, you know, that's what the world needs to see. Norman Reedus's penis. Yeah. No, I'm blown away that something. I can't believe they left anything on the cutting room floor. Usually an editor comes in and is like, oh yeah, maybe we should cut out this long and tedious section because it doesn't really add anything and it's just boring as fuck. And, you know, nobody's really going to do that. But in Death Stranding, they just made a game out of the long and tedious bullshit that nobody wants to experience. And then they peppered it with nonsense cutscenes. So it's
more
like, I don't, maybe, like, if that's the entire game, there's nothing you could leave on the cutting room floor.
They literally
because all of it is cutting room floor trash. It
was a video of him getting into a box and not knowing what to do with the box. That was the video.
That's what they didn't add in. Doesn't know what to do with a box. What is he, Batman?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we spent too long on this anyway.
All right,
Jurassic World Evolution 2, sequel to Jurassic World Evolution, which is a theme sort of park building game with dinosaurs. Looks like there's going to be some underwater stuff in there now. It was fine.
Yeah,
the first one.
Goldblum phoning it in
again. Yeah, he was in the first one, I think.
Was he? Oh,
yeah.
Did he phone it in there too?
When doesn't he? Among Us coming to consoles with a bigger player count, extra killers. There you go. Salt and Sacrifice, the follow-up to Salt and Sanctuary, the Dark Souls-esque 2D platforming game.
Yep.
Yeah. We've got... yeah, jump in whenever you want.
You know, it looks pretty interesting. Although what annoyed me about Salt and Sanctuary was the movement system, and I worry. Like that trailer looked more mobile. It looked like you had more opportunities to move and like more agility. But that's probably my greatest concern for a sequel is that they won't nail it again. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Escape from Tarkov, Streets of Tarkov, which is a new map, it looks like. I've never got into Tarkov, but it's something that's always on my radar. Check out.
I mean, I own it. I owned it from the fucking get-go. I still don't fucking get it. Every time I ask someone to explain, like, why you play Tarkov, they're like, to get fucking guns. And I'm like, why do you get guns? And they're like, so you can, like, play the game. And I'm like, but why are you playing the game? And they're like, so you can get guns. It's this fucking insane loop that doesn't make any sense to me. It's basically, as far as I can tell, it's DayZ for the people who just wanted to be kill-on-sight bandits. Which is never, like, was a fundamental misunderstanding of what made DayZ good, in my opinion. You needed the kill-on-sight bandits to make DayZ fun, but just being a kill on site bandit was idiotic and inevitably not fun, in my opinion. I mean, if someone can explain, I think I've said this like 5 times on this podcast. If someone can explain why that escape, like what it is about Escape from Tarkov that's so compelling, I would love to know. But I just haven't ever been told or seen it, and it drives me fucking bananas. And like, if it's just not for me, right? Fine, but I just need someone to tell me that. I just need someone to say, Joab, just let it go. You're never gonna actually enjoy Tarkov. Stop installing it every fucking 6 months after you've like uninstalled your reinstalled PUBG, and just fucking let it go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. 2 Point Hospital. Sorry, 2 Point Campus, the follow-up to 2 Point Hospital.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that one out. Looks interesting. We had an announcement from Saber Interactive, Todd Hollinshead. They're making a painkiller game.
Which is cool. This is under Prime Matter, but this was like a logo and nothing else, right?
Yeah, this is just them saying we're making a painkiller game, which is cool because painkiller was like a throwback to the old like Doom, Quake, those games you were talking about last week. And now those guys, the head, like Tim Willits, Todd, are like are in charge of a painkiller game. It's funny. I think that's interesting turnaround.
Yeah. It should be very interesting. See how it goes, because I think they'll have some very different design sensibilities, right?
Yeah.
And painkillers of a specific type of game. But
Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, which is a battle royale.
Battle royale.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird.
I'll see what that is.
Yeah, I'll play it because it's a battle royale. But like,
you gotta win. You've got to win. We saw a Far Cry 6 trailer. Some more backstory.
Far Cry 6
stuff.
is one of my most anticipated games out of E3. I like every single time they show you new shit about this game. Obviously, this was from the Ubisoft conference, but that fucking that trailer that they showed for the fucking season pass is one of the fucking coolest trailers I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. That fucking trailer ruled. I thought I was fucking amped watching that shit.
Was this the villain DLC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Like, they just nailed everything about that fucking trailer. Like, the theme and the fucking music and the way it was written. Oh my god, it was fucking cool. Obviously, it requires some attachment to Far Cry as a series, but shit, man. I think they fucking nailed it.
And Blood Dragon. Some sort of Blood Dragon thing.
Well, there's the anime, right? They're doing a Blood Dragon anime with Netflix, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got? Back for Blood. They showed off some footage of that. There was a bigger, like 20, 30-minute presentation of Back for Blood as well. Warner Brothers. That looks really cool. I'm still amped for that. They showed off some PvP.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I'm not sure about that. What's your take on the PvP? Because I thought it was going to be. I could be wrong, but I thought it was going to be like old Left 4 Dead, like a campaign PvP. But this seemed more like time-based PvP, like arena-based.
How do you mean? Oh, arena. Yeah, no, like I think we'll have to wait and see. I got the feeling like that was just the reveal part, and then that we'll actually. Yeah, I desperately want the old school campaign style more than a arena based.
I could be wrong. That could be just the way my interpretation. Maybe it was campaign.
Yeah,
and it was like they beat it in this time.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was more a way that they showed it than anything. But yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So cool. Evil Dead the game. I'm curious about this.
I'm intrigued, but
it looks really cool. But I
It
guess
looks
we'll wait and see.
pretty I don't know, one note. I'm happy to see more horde games. One of the other games they showed at this, I think, was all based on, I don't know when I saw it, but Anacruris
Yeah.
was definitely shown at some point early on in the piece. That's the game that Chet Falasek, the writer of Portal,
Yeah.
has been working on. That and Evil Dead are sort of in the same realm for me, in that they both look like horde mode campaign shooters, a la Left 4 Dead, and I'm excited to see more Left 4 Dead. But at the same time, they sort of looked a bit, like, uh, one note, and I need to see a lot more polish from both of them. But I love hearing Bruce, so fuck it.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last game they revealed, which I guess it was a little bit surprising because I thought maybe we would have seen it at Microsoft, but Jeff Keighley did it. He got Elden Ring gameplay reveal, which is massive for them.
Yeah,
it looked great. I think it looks awesome. We've finally got an idea
awesome.
of it. It seems like it's a bit more open world ish, or at least a larger scale. It absolutely looks like a From Software game from the combat, which is cool. Just some of the stuff that I was reading afterwards, it sounds like it's going to have like co-op or like some sort of 4-player multiplayer. Did you?
I didn't see that.
This?
I didn't see 4-player multiplayer. No, I did see you'd be able to like invite help, but I just figured it was like summons. I suppose you could say that technically you could invite 3 summons in Dark Souls 3, so
Maybe.
technically that's 4-player multiplayer, but surely it's not. When you say 4-player co-op, I imagine an entire game of co-op, not the summon system.
Yeah, well, the statement I guess going around was that it'll be multiplayer with up to 4 players, so that could be
right.
I don't know. Yeah, like you said, summons. There's mounts in this game.
Mounts. There's horse jump pads.
Horse jump pads. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, I mean, it looks sick. Weird creature designs, like they always do interesting, bonkers things with that, and so I'm very keen for this one. It's coming out next year. Earlier,
it's coming out
than
next
what I
year,
expected.
which is fucking bananas. Absolutely
January.
wild. Yeah. I said this on Twitter, but yeah, imagine being any other game coming out in 2022 and knowing you've already lost the Game of the Year race in January. What a ball ache.
Yeah.
It looks. I'm getting like Breath of the Wild vibes out of it. Like it looks fucking phenomenal. My hype levels are way off the chain. I should fucking dial that shit back in very quickly, because otherwise I'm in trouble. I will find myself in trouble. I'm gonna play the fuck out of this game. Yeah, it looks fucking phenomenal. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, this was my game of the show.
Okay,
by a long way.
Yeah. Anything else to add about the Summer Games? I don't know. I thought it was really good. I think he's doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this is like ESA's loss. Like, what a mistake not getting Jeff Keighley to run your things. It's
100%.
It's such a blow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Next up, what was next? Was it Ubisoft? I'm trying to look at this list we've got.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm looking at the games here and
I
just
guess,
being like, what is all this stuff? Like there was Devolver Digital.
Oh yeah, did you watch that?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
It was pretty entertaining. You know, they do their usual weird meta shit. They announced a Game Pass, or like a plus, Devolver Plus, Max Plus or something, and you can like gives you the opportunity to buy their games from them, which
Okay.
was pretty entertaining. And they, do their usual insane escalation meta, too many cooks type storytelling shit.
Yeah.
I just thought
Yeah.
it was entertaining as fuck. So yeah, that was cool. They announced something that I am excited for. Um, it's by the dude who made Pony Island.
Mm-hmm.
It's a card game, and I can't remember what it's called, so that's good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Excellent, good one, Joe. You've
Demon's
done
Mirror.
it again.
I'm looking at a list of games here. I don't know.
Oh, Demon's Mirror looks pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's got like a Y in its name that fucks
Oh.
up my inscription. That's what it was. And was Phantom Abyss them as well? And Wizard with a Gun? I think that was all Devolved with Digital. Wizard with a Gun looks sort of like uh fuck me. Did you watch that video I linked in the Discord of Mandy Patinkin trying to work out name a single actor who's played Batman?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. That was the funniest fucking video. That is so us. That is 100% us.
I don't know. I feel like I could remember
like
his name. What's his name? Oh, what's his name?
They were talking about Michael Keaton as well. That's what was driving me bananas. Manny Patinkin's going, he was fantastic. He's amazing. He was in Spotlight. Christian Bale, I'm like, you're fucking joking. None of these cunts have, like, for fuck's sake, please, dear God. And he, he's my age. Christian Bale is 10 years younger. Michael Keaton is Mandy Patinkin's age. Motherfucker. Speaking of which, Michael Keaton is keeping it fucking tight. That dude looks fucking fantastic. Anyway. Got a bit distracted. Yeah, Inscription, roguelike deck builder, of course I'm fucking about it. Phantom Abyss, first person puzzle platforming, which is, the holy grail of games that I think I'm gonna love, and then I play it and then one thing goes wrong and I'm like, fuck this game forever. And Wizard with the Gun, yeah, it's got crafting, it's got like wizard guns, it's got like base building, looks like it's got co-op, looks pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got there.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to Ubisoft. We've got they did a bunch of like their usual. Here's the bunch of games that we've got out already, and we're still supporting Trackmania, For Honor, The Crew 2, Year 4, apparently. Still working on that. Watch Dogs Legion. They announced Rocksmith Plus, which is pretty cool. It looks interesting. Being able to plug your guitar into a library of songs now, which is kind of cool. They showed off Riders Republic, which looks interesting. I just don't know what type of game that is, because it's you with all these different types of things you can ride, bikes and.
Is it not just what was that snowboarding skiing
SSX?
game that they had? No, like pretty recent snowboarding skiing game.
Ubisoft. Steep.
It's just that, but with mountain bikes, right? Isn't it?
It's got other things.
I'm not being dismissive. I'm like, that was an incredible fucking achievement. I thought Steep was, but like it's basically Steep, but they've added in mountain bikes.
Well, no, it's not just mountain bikes. It's like weird fucking flying jetpack things and like wingsuits.
Why not adding? Well, they definitely had wingsuits in Steep, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
I thought they wound up adding jetpacks and shit.
Maybe.
No?
Yeah. So that looks interesting. Just Dance 2022 they showed off. Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC, which is coming out. No Assassin's Creed this year. They're skipping it, which I thought was maybe surprising, because we were on a weird like sort of annual Assassin's Creed, and then we went to every second year, and then there was a bit where we had a
bang
back to back again, and now we're all right. We're holding off. So I'm okay. I prefer the 2-year cycle. I think it works a lot better.
I think it's better with the 2-year cycle. Yeah.
The Far Cry 6 stuff we obviously talked about, and Mario and Rabbids, or sorry, Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. I'm keen for this. I really liked the first game. I thought it was really well done. So I'll absolutely play this next one if I can find my Switch. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to play any Mario and Rabbids?
Yeah, I played Mario and Rabbids back in the day. I think I even previewed it before it came out.
Yeah.
This looks pretty fun. It's got like some almost Mario RPG vibes to it. So yeah, I didn't love the combat of Mario plus Rabbids.
Right.
Rabbids. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I've come to realize that I just don't like fucking tactics games. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the trailer they showed was a bit ordinary, like a lot of walking around, the bit
Yeah.
outside the combat, which I thought was maybe the weakest part of that game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
A little odd.
and then they closed things off with, what was it? Avatar: Frontiers of
Avatar.
Pandora. This is the massive entertainment game which has been in the works for quite a while. Yeah.
Still not as long as Avatar 2 has been in the works, but quite a while.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think what they showed looked pretty.
Yep.
I guess we got to see what the game is, though, right? Like, what is it? What is it all about?
Yeah. What I've read is it's a first-person action adventure game. And I thought the first-person sections that they showed in this cinematic trailer were interesting looking, but they were very short, and this was a cinematic trailer.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get a good sense of what we were looking at here. I assume we'll see a lot more as the second movie ramps up, because it's supposed to be out next year as well, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and that was
we
Ubisoft.
sort of blasted past Rainbow Six Extraction.
Oh, I missed it. Yes, Rainbow Six Extraction. This is the new game based off of the event Outbreak that they did a while back.
This looked interesting, entertaining.
Yeah,
but
it seemed a bit like slower paced, like a bit of stealth and that sort of thing, and I was a bit surprised by that.
Yeah, it seems like stealth's going to be a huge part of it. My question is, this game's full priced. This is a full price game.
Is it? Okay.
And I can't fathom how they're going to get full price out of this experience.
Yeah.
Especially
when Left 4 Dead, or sorry, not Left 4 Dead, Dead by Daylight's $14 right now. What are you doing?
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, Back 4 Blood's going to be on the fucking Game Pass at launch. Like, this seems like a huge mistake. Like, this is Titanfall being sent out in the window between Battlefield and Call of Duty to die.
Like, you think this is a $60 game type deal?
This is a fucking $20 game, as far as, like, based on what we watched. Like, good lord. Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm intrigued. I was very thrown off by the stealth stuff, and it just seemed a bit more. I was sort of expecting what we saw in the event that they did, like a bit more Left 4 Dead-esque. This is like stealth and dudes and fighting 3 or 4 things at a time. It just seemed a bit more low key. Maybe that is just maybe they're holding back a little bit, but didn't grab me as much as what I hoped. But I'm still keen to check it out. So let's move on to what was next. Microsoft.
What
a fucking through all this thing. Yeah. So they opened with
out of the fucking
what I
park.
expected they were going to close with, which was Starfield. But saying that, they showed a lot less than what I thought they were going to show. It was a teaser trailer, no gameplay, more of a in-game sort of cinematic teaser.
In-game footage, though.
In-game footage, yeah.
Which is good. At least there was that.
It was that.
like it wasn't pure cinematic. They didn't show a lot. You can go to a couple of different places and find out there's a couple of making of videos that you can track down to see a little bit more. But all told, I think you can get maybe about 2 minutes of actual footage from in-engine footage, which is not as much as you would like to see, but epic nonetheless. I'm fucking amped, man. Like, they're talking. I've been reading up on it. They're talking much more hardcore RPG experience than people are used to from them. They're talking about Creation 2, the Creation 2 engine,
which is good.
Yeah,
but it's also
definitely
built on the old engine still. Like they've said that in the past, right?
like yeah, but in like the way that id Tech 6 is built on id Tech 5 is built on 4, 3, 2, 1. Like the essence of the engine, I think, remains through every iteration. But
at least it's not Creation Engine, the Fallout one, the Skyrim engine that we were getting back to back to back.
So no, it's just I'm fucking amped, man. I'm excited.
Release date
what a
bit
hype
further away than what I guess a lot of people
expected.
expected. There was the I mean, obviously it wasn't coming out this year. That's what we heard, but I was thinking more early next year. Seemed to be the signs that were being pointed to, but it's not. It's 11/11/2022 at this stage, which is the Skyrim release date.
Right? It's is it 11 years after? Because it was 11/11/11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it works. I mean, it's crazy that it's been 11 years, but yeah, I think it's cool.
The other thing is that they need to, right? They need to put out a game that is polished. They can't do it again.
Oh, 100%. They can't afford to. No.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a chance like it could get pushed back again. It
could
entirely possible.
Yeah. I would prefer them to push it back than to fall out.
Yep.
For it.
The other big news is, I guess this is a exclusive, Game Pass exclusive as well, which is big. Most of this
stuff.
Not
a Game Pass exclusive. It's
an Xbox exclusive, but it's on Game Pass.
Console exclusive. Xbox Series XS, Xbox SES exclusive. Console wise, anyway, it's coming out on PC.
Yep.
And it will be day one on Game Pass.
Yep.
Which is fucking. That's it. This is the game, right? This is the game all those years ago when I was like, yeah, I will just keep buying. I'll buy up as much Game Pass as I can get and take what I can get, and I will make sure that I get fucking Starfield or TES 6.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as they announce the Bethesda deal, you're like, that's it. I get fucking Starfield day one. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff day one from the looks of things.
Well, fuck yeah. Game Pass subscribers were the fucking winners of E3, if anything. You can already preload fucking Forza Horizon. You can already preload the next game in the list, Stalker 2.
Yep, Heart of Chernobyl.
Like, you could already fucking preload it. That's fucking bananas. I didn't think this trailer was very good, to be honest. I'm excited for Stalker 2, but I thought this was a pretty dull trailer. Like,
that's Stalker though, right? It's a slow paced game.
Yeah, so. I guess. It was just like, it's very pretty. I just show me a bit more, you know?
Yep. All right, we also got Contraband, the new game from Avalanche Studios, who worked on the Just Cause series, as well as a bunch of other games.
Like, there was nothing in this.
It was a CG trailer. Was a Stalker. It showed us a bit of the hints of what the game was, like a co-op game. It seems like it's going to be a Left 4 Dead-esque.
I don't care.
esque type thing.
I don't care.
Next up, we got Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life, which is Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean
Fucking
DLC.
amazing, right? We got to get back into it. We say
It's
this
next
fucking
week.
every month, and then we never do it. But we have to get back into this.
I'm always waiting
And
for you guys. I'm always
we're gonna
ready.
get Racy in, right?
Yeah.
Because Race is the worst pirate that we've ever heard of. So, well, we have heard of him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, looks great.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and I'm very keen to play.
Mm-hmm. Yakuza
Lock
Like
it
a
in.
Dragon is on Game Pass now. I've talked about this game in the past. Absolutely, people should play it if they're into JRPGs or just RPGs. It's so wild, this game. It's over the top, ridiculous. I really liked it. Battlefield 2042 not coming to Game Pass, which was very surprising to me. Oh wait, maybe it is still coming to Game Pass. Maybe they're just not announcing yet. But I feel like that would be a thing that they announce.
It's not. It's not.
Anyway, they showed
it will eventually, as we discussed at length on the Discord chat. Probably 7 months after release, it'll make it to Game Pass.
Yeah,
that's JB's estimate. That's a pretty good estimate.
So we
anyway,
talked
I need you to give it its
week.
correct title. When you say Battlefield 2042, I need you to give it the correct colon. Battlefield 2042, 2021 Game of the Year. That's what I need. Like, just give it the respect it's clearly going to earn. So just give it, motherfucker. Yes. I've never been. Oh my god, this game's gonna fucking rule. I'm hype train. I'm fucking. This is Cyberpunk level. I'm back on it. I'm on so many fucking hype trains. But it's E3 week, so we're allowed to be on hype trains. I'm sure it will temper eventually. However, it will not for Battlefield 2042 because this game looks fucking spectacular. What a fucking trailer! Holy shit! What a trailer! The fucking. They do. It's that dude, right? Floppy Ragdoll, who came up through the community making his own custom trailers, and they did a fucking spectacular job with this one. It's fucking awesome. Like an Aussie dude, Floppy Ragdoll is. Yeah, or maybe a Kiwi. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. This trailer's fucking phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, you got to go fucking watch it. The sense of scale and the fucking hairy combat and everything that's going on in it is something else. I'm excited.
I am very excited for Battlefield 2042. I didn't like this trailer.
All right. That's it.
Super
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the podcast. That's our last episode. We're finished. Okay. How many episodes we make it? 570. It's been a good run, but I can't talk to this man anymore. I've had enough. Okay. First it was fucking Outriders. Now you don't like this trailer. I've had enough. I'm done. Just all right, explain yourself.
I think that was maybe a bad map to show, but also I'm now super worried about if they're showing this map as their reveal. I think that if you go back and watch that trailer,
I've watched it a dozen times, but go on.
Like, where is the cover? And like, where is... It just seems so empty when they're showing off this urban jungle, but it's covered in like sand. It's just it's so open and bare. When I look at the maps that were in Battlefield 5, and there's I think there's such detailed and awesome maps, and there's a lot of places for players to hide and get behind cover and that sort of thing, whereas here it's just so open, and I'm just worried about like the map design from a player's perspective. It looks like it's pretty cool for tanks and helicopters and that sort of thing, but as a player, I don't want to just be running out in the open getting fucking sniped all the time. And that's why I'm worried about what I've seen here. It just looks super barren.
I think that a lot of the I think it's because it's a two-tone map, right? It's it's a map of two like tails, right? You've got the stadium portion, the stadium half, which is very much, as you were saying, quite open, quite vehicle heavy. But then I think the urban stuff will absolutely have everything an infantry person could want out of enough cover and like I don't know. I think the building fighting stuff had plenty of cover and stuff like that. And you don't need a lot of cover in a Battlefield game, right? Like you just need enough to pop a heal real quick so that you can live long enough to continue on. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
I think that's a fair criticism, but yeah.
I'm just super worried about every time I saw footage of people running around, it just seems so empty as to like they're running up a hill or down a street and there's just nothing around them at all. Like there was some stuff later on in that trailer that I thought looked more interesting with like the big I don't remember the map names, but like the giant ship in the middle of the area. It seemed like there's a bunch of stuff going on there. I thought that.
Well, that's the thing is, right, we didn't see a lot of there was HUDless gameplay, so we didn't see objectives, whether they were close to objectives. And like Battlefield has always had like these empty runs a lot of the time. Like if you think back to like classic Battlefield maps, there are these empty runs, but there's not supposed to be combat in those areas. Like those are areas where the combat, if it happens, you're supposed to be, well, I got fucking caught out, I guess I die now. As opposed to like, I think it feels more like when you're on an objective is when you'll be on a building or be in that stadium or something like that where you'll have cover. And the way that they're talking about the way objectives will work, you'll have multi-stage objectives. You won't be just capping A, B, C, D, and E. You'll be capping A, B1, B2, C1, C2, C3, D2, D1, E, that sort of thing to cap everything, to cap every section now, as opposed to the cap A, cap B, cap C. You know, it's no longer this hyper hyper focused single point objective that you need to cap. There's a lot of extra shit going on that I think changes the way we will interpret these combat zones. And I think those areas in particular where you're running over a fucking sand dune or some shit, I think that's not combat area. That's not that's not supposed to be a combat engagement area. I think we will be taking fights in the streets, on the buildings, in the buildings, and stuff like that, as opposed to, in the wide open areas. Because you definitely saw that a bunch in, like, you know, fucking Wake Islands. You start on a fucking in the middle of a fucking sea, and good enough helicopters can and did just melted you before you'd even fucking boots on the ground. Like it still happens in fucking Battlefield 4 when you're on sea maps.
Yeah. And
so it's one of those things where you need to like be aware of that and be aware that you don't have any cover when you're out on the open ocean, right? But you don't get melted by snipers all the time. It's because of the way they design combat engagements in Battlefield. That's why I'm not particularly worried.
Yeah.
But
I think like I don't know, like I'm just worried from what I saw. You go and compare that gameplay reveal to what we saw for like Battlefield 5, and it's just such a huge difference. Like that gameplay in 5 looked much more exciting to me as to what was shown here. I was just so like I couldn't have been more underwhelmed. I think when I watched that, I was so disappointed. But I'm happy to be proved wrong. I mean, I'm hoping that the game is good. I'm worried from what I've seen so far. All right, let's move on anyway. October 22nd, this has a release date for. Its usual October release date. So, next up we had 12 Minutes, which is another Xbox Game Pass game. This is... this looks interesting. This is like a time sort of...
Time loop.
time loop game, top
Puzzle
down.
game.
Yeah, in a weird like weird looking style, which I think looks fantastic.
Like a single room puzzle as well.
And it's starring a couple of notable people: James McAvoy, uh, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe as voice actors, which is a great cast. From Annapurna Interactive as well. They've done some, I think, some of the most interesting games in the last couple of years.
They publish, yeah.
Published, yeah.
Very interesting games. This is by Luis Antonio, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
I don't know. Looks cool. I'm definitely keen for this one. Any other thoughts?
No, I'm very excited for it. August 19, it comes out. It's on PC and Xbox. Looks like one that I might just chuck on the TV and play, with my wife. Yeah.
All right.
Should be pretty cool.
Psychonauts 2. This is the Double Fine game. I don't know. I have to play it, I guess. I don't have a connection to Psychonauts, so I guess we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Some Fallout stuff. Party Animals. There you go. Get your party animals.
But it's got a release date of 2022, and it Heath went on their Discord and found out that release date is the Xbox only release date, and it will actually make it to PC in 2021.
Yep.
Although JB thinks that date will be December 31, 2021, which is a bit rough. I was very disheartened when I saw 2022. Like my heart sank because I'm like, just fucking give me the demo back, you cunts. Like, it doesn't. I don't need anything more than a demo. Just let me fucking. I went back and watched some videos that I have of it. Fuck, that game was entertaining. It was just funny. Like the video. One of the videos I have is just me, and like you can hear me giggling the entire time, and that's I think the mark of a great game. Yeah, you're just giggling. That's a good party game.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, 2022. It is coming to Game Pass, but it'll be on PC earlier than that, and I'm about it.
Nice. What else we got here? Somerville, which is a new game from Jump Ship. Jump Ship is a new studio created by the co-founder of Playdead, who made games such as Limbo and Inside. Yeah, this looks art style is very interesting, so I'll leave it at that. Next up was Halo Infinite. They showed off some gameplay, some multiplayer. I don't know, maybe
multiplayer is going to be free to play.
Free to play multiplayer, yep.
It looks fucking awesome. I have a soft spot in my heart for Halo multiplayer. A much harder spot in my heart for Halo's single player campaigns because I've never found them to be terribly fucking well written. It doesn't look to me like Halo Infinite is changing any of that. It's still Master Chief trying to save his Google Assistant. Literally your Microsoft computer assistant now, because that's called Cortana. I just don't have much interest in the campaign, but the multiplayer looks fucking phenomenal, and it's free to play, and it's cross-play between Xbox and PC. So you wind up in this situation where like it feels like it's going to be huge. Like people have been waiting for, like, I think Xbox, like Halo multiplayer has a deep fucking hold, a nostalgic hold on what a lot of people want to see, but also like there are some pretty big streamers who got famous playing Halo multiplayer, like competitively. So I think they've got if this game is good, like if it's bad, it's going to be everything for a couple of weeks. But if this game is good, it's going to have a huge tail on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it winds up going. But I love my Halo multiplayer. From way back in the day. If they can take us back to that, if they can avoid this sort of Warzone pay to win loot box bullshit that they fucking did with Halo 5.
I love cards. I want cards that you have to buy, and then the cards level up
single
your characters.
use and
yeah. I think it's the best form of pay to win.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was so revered. No, if they can avoid like horse shit, if they can avoid doing fucking garbage, anti-consumer garbage, if they just make a really great multiplayer game, they're gonna fucking own the conversation. They may even they won't beat Battlefield for me, but they may even beat Battlefield for some people, and that's gonna be a big fucking deal. So yeah, I'm fucking well amped, and there's loads out there for people to check out. Halo Infinite, so it's definitely worth having a squiz. Multiplayer, yeah. December 2021, it's coming out, so that's cool.
Cool.
I'm pumped.
A Plague's Tale Requiem, the follow-up to A Plague's Tale Innocence. This is coming out on Game Pass as well, which is cool, and other consoles, but Game Pass. Shredders, which is a snowboarding game coming out on Game Pass. Could be cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't look as arcadey as other snowboarding games. Looks a bit more simulator. Next up was Atomic Heart coming to Game Pass. This game, every time I see it, it gets like more crazy and wilder.
Yeah.
It's very like weird Bioshock-esque game, but made by a Russian studio. So I don't know. I'm in for it. Looks cool.
I'm interested. Still no release date though, and it's getting into the sort of territory where you just sort of slot it away and stop paying attention because who knows when? Like at this point, it's never going to come out, right?
Yeah. Replaced, which is a 2D side-scrolling, like a noir cyberpunk-esque thriller futuristic thing. I don't know, man, what it is, but it looks awesome. So I'm definitely.
It looks really like I love the fucking art style and the trailer. I thought had like really fucking. It was pretty early when I was watching, and this got me to sit up and pay more attention.
Yeah,
so that was pretty good.
Age of definitely. I've skipped forward. Grounded. They shut off some more Grounded updates. That's something we'll have to get back into at some stage. The Ascent. I don't remember this one. Do you remember it?
No, I don't.
Oh, no, this was a action RPG. Maybe it looks like.
Anyway. Oh, was this from the people who made what was that? Like Redeemer, was it? Maybe. I don't super remember.
Neon Giant. They have made The Ascent. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Great. No, I don't really remember this one.
No.
Must have fallen asleep.
Yeah, Age of Empires 4. You the Age of Empires man. What did you think?
I'm amped. Who doesn't want more fucking Age of Empires? Like, looks fucking rad. This was not what I thought was a very good trailer until like the fucking back half of it. But like I was sort of like I was saying before, I was playing Astalon and watching on the side, and I was sort of like there was these weird fucking I don't know what you call them, cutscenes, I guess. Of statues or some shit. I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity to fucking deal with this shit at the moment. And then suddenly, like, fucking all these like little dudes are running on the screen. I'm like, oh my god, it's Age of Empires.
I thought it was going to be like, do you remember Caesar, the old game? I thought it looked a bit like that, like Caesar 4.
Oh, Yeah, right. Was that the city building one or
City building game. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would have been disappointing.
Mm.
No, this looks fucking rad.
Yep.
I'm excited. And day one
Game Pass.
Game Pass, right?
Yep.
PC.
Another Game Pass game, The Outer Worlds 2 official announcement. Interesting trailer. They took the piss out of themselves, talking about like games that are still in the design phase that all they have is a logo and here's a 2-minute trailer. Very, very well done, which I'll bring up in a minute. Forza Horizon 5, we've got a release date for that, November 9th this year. Game Pass game set in Mexico, which looks awesome. Looks really good. Forza Horizon.
It does. It looks always fantastic. Yeah. I felt like they showed a lot of content, if not a lot of information in this video. It felt like it maybe went on a little too long. But yeah, you got to see fucking loads, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they did a really good job with this, and you can preload it on your Xbox now for some reason, which is pretty fucking.
Are you
weird.
saying the game's done?
Like, I'm not saying it. They are. They're saying that you can literally preload it right fucking now. It doesn't come out till November 9, but yeah,
that's weird. Yeah,
it is weird. But yeah.
Anyway, back to the Outer Worlds 2. So they did this giant trailer talking about game companies that release trailers when they don't have anything to show. And so Xbox ended on Redfall, a new game from Arcane Studios, which was a cinematic trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were amped about this, and I'm definitely excited, but a lot of people were very excited. And we talked about this last week with the Battlefield reveal, right? Like, I want to see some gameplay or something like that. I think we're in this stage now where I want to see gameplay. And
100%. I'm intrigued and excited. It's Arcane, so sign me up. It looks like probably another 4-player horde mode
with vampires.
Yeah. And I'd love to see Arcane's take on that. But yeah, I need to see a lot more than what they showed before I can get on the hype train. I need to see, a fantastic trailer like Battlefield 2042's gameplay reveal trailer, which was fantastic.
Do you are you all about that sand or something? Is that what it is? Does sand get you jazzed?
Do you not like sand? Is it because it's coarse?
Bad. Nobody likes sand.
Yeah, no, I thought this was an odd one to finish on. It wasn't the sort of game where you would go, oh, and one more thing, right? You can't really Columbo with a cinematic trailer for an IP nobody's ever heard of before. Like, why would you cram Halo Infinite in the middle of everything? Why wouldn't you go, oh, and one more thing, and then fucking however many fucking minutes like 5 minutes of fucking Halo shit? Why wouldn't you do that? That doesn't make or do it with Forza Horizon 5, right? Like, I personally wouldn't have wanted them to end on Forza Horizon 5, but like it could have fucking slammed. It could have been a fucking big one.
Yeah.
Or like any of their big fucking IPs. Like, I'm not trying to fucking shit on Redfall. I'm just saying, like, that's how the stinger goes. That's how you fucking sting with the thing that makes people go, oh, what? No way!
Like they did it with Cyberpunk, right? Back a couple of years back. Like, we're thanks everyone for coming and watching this, and then all of a sudden the stadium goes like red, the lights cut out, and then bam, Cyberpunk comes on. Like, that is how you do it, right?
Yeah. And like, yeah, something people like, it has to have a degree of anticipation already for it to have that like momentum. I just don't. Yeah, I think Redfall felt more like if you were gonna give it pride of place, you would open with Redfall and then close with Starfield, right? it just felt like they had it backwards. But like, this is nitpicking, obviously, because Microsoft fucking knocked it out of the park on this one. They fucking killed it. The Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they fucking killed it. But yeah,
I think I'm seeing a lot of articles about how like Xbox has like the Game Pass has paid off, and I don't think that's right. I think it will pay off. It hasn't paid off yet. Xbox still don't have any first party games out. I think in the next 2 years, Sony's going to have some problems. But at this stage, Sony's still the one putting games out that are high caliber games. And so, Sony is going to have a problem eventually. But at this point, I don't think Microsoft has won at all. They've still got a ways out to put a bunch of these, like Redfall is not coming out anytime soon. So
Starfield's ages off.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah. Anyway, I think they did an awesome job. Get Game Pass.
Yes.
Next up was Square Enix showed some games. I guess the big one out of here that I can see, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a single-player, story-based game set in the world of the Guardians of the Galaxy from the comics, not the movies, you bastards.
I did not like what I saw of this game.
Yeah, I think it looks kind of bland, like the combat.
Yeah.
There's some stuff about the combat that I thought was interesting, like the combo system.
Although hearing what's his face, the guy yell, "Groot, you take over now, Rocket!" And you're like, "Fucking shut the fuck up, cunt! You don't need to fucking yell every single time. Just fucking Christ." Anyway,
but I think that I don't know. People going wild for this thing, and I'm just like, am I getting too old and cynical? Like, what is happening?
Also, wasn't the last Marvel game from Square Enix not fantastic?
The single play stuff was good. But they jammed in a bunch of this live service crap in there, so maybe this one will be a bit tighter. It's the Tomb Raider team, right? So could be promising. We'll see.
I thought Hitman Sniper looked pretty cool. That was my pick for the Square Enix one. Didn't really get any idea of what the fuck it would involve, unfortunately, but I just really want a sniper game that is good. So,
is this set in the same universe as Hitman or not? It can't be, right? Because Square doesn't own Hitman. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Does Square
it's pretty
own
odd.
Hitman? No.
I don't think so. Maybe they own Hitman Sniper, right? Because they published maybe that was the trade. You can have Hitman Sniper and we'll have Hitman.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
At least we'll keep the name. They showed a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff. Did anything here stand out for you apart from the battle royale?
What stood out to me was how little I care about Final Fantasy. Yeah.
Did they announce a new Final Fantasy game?
They announced new DLC for Final Fantasy VII.
They announced Origin, that's right, which we talked about before. So there you go.
Did we?
Yeah, we it was rumored. Remember, we've Final Fantasy Origin. It was Elite.
No.
What do you do while we're talking?
I mostly rewatched the Battlefield 2042 gameplay reveal trailer. Yeah.
This is the Team Ninja game that.
Yeah, I remember now. Okay, yeah. I do remember this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I still don't care.
Anything else at the Square Enix thing that you thought was interesting?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Anything from the PC gaming show that you thought was interesting?
I'll tell you what I thought was interesting. Why they decided to go with that particular weird presentation style.
I thought that would go. Yeah, sorry.
It made me want to die.
It seemed like they were trying to do what Devolver does, right?
Well, that makes me desperately sad
Because
because they
usually it's
didn't
day nine sitting behind a
really
desk
do
interviewing
it.
people, but this year was more like a story behind it.
Yeah. Um, highlights included baiting me into watching because Gabe Newell was on, and then all he did was announce the game, the demo festival. Um, uh, I guess Shinobilites looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like also looks a little bit shitty.
Okay.
Like the storytelling stuff looks really. It looks almost like it's from those simulator games I was talking about.
Mm.
And then the actual gameplay looks really good. Not at all like those simulator games I was talking about. What was Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song? Because I wrote down in my notes. What even is this? So, like,
I don't know.
have they
There's too
just
many
given up
Vampire
on
the Masquerade
Bloodlines
games.
2? Yeah, I just don't understand.
So I saw some screenshots of it, and it's a third-person action game, I think, or
Okay.
something. It's a third-person game.
Right. Okay.
Is that just one of those like IPs you can sort of just make your own game at this point? Like, is it like Sherlock Holmes?
Or Warhammer,
Yeah.
right?
Like they just give them out.
Yeah.
When you
like,
get
yeah,
your game developer license, they're like, here's the IP to Warhammer and Vampire the Masquerade.
Here's a basket we've chucked some grapes in there, some cheese, and here's an IP for Vampire and Warhammer, and a bottle of wine, so you can think up some ideas on how to sloppily make a Warhammer game.
Yeah. Oh, you picked the Sonic card. Congratulations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What else was there? Jeez, eh? Not a lot. Icarus. I'm still fucking amped for Icarus.
That's out
Icarus
soon.
is looking, huh?
It's out soon. It's coming out soon.
Yeah, and it's looking more and more like first-person Valheim every time I see it, which I'm into. I'm well into. Yeah, that looks like a fucking great idea. I'm going to continue to try to get Dean to come on this podcast.
Yeah.
And now that E3 is over, maybe he will have time. Although now that he only has 2 months until his game comes out, maybe he will not. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is
Maybe
the
after
plan.
it comes out.
They were very receptive to Dean coming on this podcast when I first brought it up with them. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. That is the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. All I could think of is, oh my god, this is the worst presentation style I've ever seen. Please make it stop. That's what I thought. Yeah. But yeah, if it worked for some people, then it worked for some people.
Yeah. Huh? Let's keep going. Should we jump over to Nintendo now? Was that the next major one? I feel like
there was the Future Games show, but I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall there being anything particularly interesting in it. Severed Steel, there's is one of the it's available in the demo thing on Steam at the moment. That's about it. Nintendo, the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it.
I figured I will watch it once it's done, and I'll just watch the things that I think are interesting.
Just watch
that was like 2 things. So yeah.
Only 2. What were the 2?
I watched Zelda, and maybe it was 1.
What? That's pretty rough. That is pretty rough.
I think it was 1. Sorry.
Good lord. They had more Sparks of Hope.
Okay.
You apparently love Sparks of Hope, Mario plus Rabbids. They had more of that. They had actual gameplay of Mario plus Rabbids.
Yeah, and what new games did they have there?
They had WarioWare, Get It Together.
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Have you played WarioWare?
Yes, back in the day.
those games are fucking phenomenal. Okay, so get excited. Okay, stop sounding so fucking jaded. Okay, and get excited for WarioWare. What else was there that I was excited about? Metroid Dread. Having just played an entire 16 hours of fucking Metroidvania in
that was the second
in
one
a
I watched.
weekend. Yeah, I was pretty excited for Metroid Dread. Yeah, Mario Party Superstars. I've never played a good Mario Party. I've never enjoyed a Mario Party game, so I don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 was what they ended on.
Yes. That's how you fucking end a presentation, Xbox, with motherfucking Breath of the Wild 2 with actually what looked like a fair amount of I mean, it may have been pre-rendered. They didn't say it was or wasn't. But yeah, it looked like gameplay. Looked like gameplay played using the Wii U emulator.
Or the Switch Pro.
Rendered at 4K. Yeah. Rendered at 4K and actually looking good and running at a reasonable frame rate. But yeah. That looks pretty fucking cool. I'm about it. Looks like it's going to be in 2 different time frames, and so you'll switch forward and backwards in time, which is Zelda's had some success with that in the past. Maybe you'll get some sort of ocarina. Yeah, I thought it looked fucking cool, to be honest. I'm excited. On the flip side, why would I need to play Breath of the Wild 2 when I will be playing From Software's Breath of the Wild version game, Elden Ring, written by George R.R. Martin? So it won't even have the world's worst storytelling and some fucking voice actor calling in being Zelda and being, Link, you must save me, the blood moon comes. And like, oh my god, I know, okay? I fucking know. The blood moon is here. You do not have to tell. This is why Batman won't go down on you, Zelda. Because the blood moon has arrived.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. There you go. That was E3 / Summer Games Fest.
Is that what we're ending on?
Yeah, the blood moon.
The blood moon.
Anything that stood out to you that you surprised you didn't see?
Surprised I didn't see. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. One thing we didn't mention, which was actually in one of the overdrawn, too long PC gaming or future game shows. I can't remember which one it was in. Crossfire Legion from Prime Matter. I just wanted to call this one out because I had so much trouble remembering what it was, and then I went and looked into it a bit more. But it's basically, okay, you got to put this one on your fucking list. Okay, we saw fuck all of it. It was basically just another one of those announcements that they're making it. But you got to put it on your list. It looks like StarCraft : Generals, aka Command & Conquer Generals, but StarCraft. Or it's either that or it is Dawn of War : Wings of Liberty. Because to me, it looked like it's either Command & Conquer Generals in a sci-fi setting, or it's Warhammer 40k Dawn of War, but with StarCraft sensibilities. I couldn't really nail down which of those two it was, but I'm excited. Either way, I'm excited. So yeah, keep that one on your list, in your mind, because it looks rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything in particular. I feel like we should have seen, but we didn't. What are you thinking? Did you have something in mind?
Oh, not big stuff. Like for me, like the Warner Brothers stuff was really weird. Like none of their games were there. The Suicide Squad game, Gotham Knights, the Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. Is it Legacy? I think it's called. Just completely absent. All they showed was that Back for Blood
Yeah.
presentation. What else was there? I feel like was missing. Oh man, no Call of Duty this year. Usually we sort of see that thing at Xbox, right? But that's sort of the
Yeah. Usually they've announced it at their own thing before like they show it. They show more um at E3, but they usually show it for the first time at their own thing, and clearly they haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the one that I was thinking of because we talked about it last week, that Marvel XCOM game. Obviously, that is not ready to be shown yet. But I guess that still has leaked somehow. But yeah, there's just a couple of things there that I was just surprised we didn't hear about or at least get a glimpse of. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's still the Gamescom stuff coming up. Jeff Keighley
True.
is running that. We got
Yep.
Game of the Year awards at the end of the year, another 6 months. So I guess there's like 3 month increments of stuff that we could see a few more things. Anyway, overall, some good games we've seen. I have no idea why I had to sign up for an E3 website. I still don't know why.
I didn't do it, so yeah.
Everyone had to design like an avatar for your picture, and
Right.
everyone, I think 98% of people took it seriously. Like pictures with like fucking doing all their hair. My character looks ridiculous. It's got like long hair with a giant mustache, like straight long hair, like giant red eyes, and like a yellow shirt with purple background, lights flashing, and looks dumb. Anyway, I don't know why we have signed up for it. I didn't get anything out of that stupid site. So thank you, E3, for wasting my time. At least it's so dumb. Anyway, I thought, yeah, some good stuff coming out. Interesting couple of months ahead of us.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll probably learn a lot about this one, and we'll see a very different type of E3 next year. Whether or not, I mean, it has to go back to in-game. But how do you do like a hybrid sort of event? Because they did a bunch of like, here's conferences and people talking about these different aspects of the industry they're focused on, like esports and that sort of thing. And I think like that sort of stuff can be done on the floor of E3 while streaming it as well. Like you've got to sort of take that mentality of what like a PAX has done, but have it be online as well. Like panel focused and that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting next year to see how they take it, because I just was not interested in a lot of the stuff that they had online this year. I just thought it was kind of bland and boring. But in the past, they've done some really cool stuff. Obviously, Jeff Keighley was running a bunch of that as well. So it's hard to say. Anyway, any other final thoughts about the week?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, not a great E3, I think. That's about it. That's about all I got.
All right. Have we got any questions to wrap this thing up with?
I believe we do. Let me have a squiz. We do have a question. Baz writes, G'day, fellas. Love the show. Xbox is quickly becoming the Netflix of games. Do you think Sony will pull their finger out soon and follow suit? Unfortunately, if so, this also means EB Games will end up like Blockbuster. And looking even further forward in years to come, it may create a scenario that we are already starting to see where Sony and Microsoft will own lots of game studios. Do you think this will benefit the industry overall? Also, if Microsoft sort out the issues with Game Pass on PC, mods, installing, etc., Steam may have to bring out something similar to prevent itself from just becoming a launcher for Dota and CSGO. There's a couple of questions, Baz. Good stuff. Let's start with the first one. Will Sony pull out their finger and follow suit with a subscription service? What do you think, Luke?
I think I think Sony's biggest issue is that Microsoft snapped up a lot of studios. And I
Yeah.
don't think Sony has as many under their belt. And so if they do something like that, it's going to be have to like they're going to have to get on the third party track or like indies and that sort of stuff. Um,
Which I
either
think
that
they've
or
done
start
traditionally
buying.
quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, like start snapping up like Blue Point or like try From Software or something like that. Like go somewhere crazy. Um, but yeah, I think it's inevitable. Like they have to have something. I think there's been rumors around that they are doing something like that, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it at some stage. It just seems like the way it needs to go. It's at some point.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to go that way, but I think it inevitably will. There must be some complex accounting going on at Microsoft that shows them that the model is worth it inevitably. Um, it's a question of when, and I think Sony is waiting to see how they can do this in a way that they can get away with, right? Because they don't like the thing about Sony is that like they can get $130 fucking dollars for Ratchet and Clank or whatever the fuck, right? Or what
Spider Man
pay
or
for
yeah,
you pay however much a month for a Sony pass or for a PlayStation pass, and then what you get significantly less. I understand the challenge in the accounting department there to make it work, right? I can understand the apprehension. The Xbox has had the insane luxury of having nothing for a long time. None of these AAA giant must-have titles. They haven't had like a giant exclusive. The fucking slap your mama must-have game for years, right? And so why not do a fucking subscription, right? They get passive income out of that. Whereas like Sony's had the game of the year like multiple times in the last 5 years, or if not the game of the year, like a lot of people's game of the year, not the
yeah,
Gap's game of the year, maybe, because we're a
and
bit more
competing with
discerning.
itself as well for that title.
But yeah, it has repeatedly competed with itself for the title of the game of the year. Yeah, we're a bit more discerning. We prefer Warzone, which we then stop playing a month after we announce it being game of the year. No, yeah, they've had the game of the that is the game to own, right? That year, in a lot of people's mind, if you can buy one game a year, it's God of War, it's The Last of Us Part 2, it's Spider-Man, right? And so they are in the tricky position of having to look at that and then go, well, what if we were to let everyone who paid $10 a month have it? And the question is, well, what if they cancel the subscription after a month because the game only, you can finish the game in 2 weeks? And I can understand why they're apprehensive, but they will, I think, have to bite the bullet eventually because, yeah. Or the alternative is they allow Xbox to have Game Pass on PlayStation. All right. I don't know if you saw this semi-breaking news, but you'll be able to play xCloud on the Xbox One. So you can play Series X games on the Xbox One starting, I think, next month, which is fucking phenomenal, right? Because you'll be able to play, provided your internet connection is up to it, you'll be able to play fucking spectacular games on your Xbox One, which is awesome on hardware you've already got. That's amazing, right? And if they would allow xCloud and take a percentage, right, then Microsoft still gets they get to wet their beak and Sony gets to wet their beak. They provide a platform, and they still have a platform for their blockbuster must-have titles that they can charge way too fucking much for. I'm not kidding. $125 for a new release game is idiotic, and I hate it. It's way too much. It goes too far, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand why they can't just flip around and be like, well, give us $10 a month, because they're already getting so fucking much out of people. That's my opinion. That's the only way I think they can avoid going down that route and remaining a blockbuster only platform. But I don't think it happens. I do not think they do it. I think that inevitably we will see a PlayStation Pass.
Yeah.
Second question.
It could be the thing that gets bundled with like what they've got at the moment with like PlayStation Plus. Like it's part of the online experience, sort of similar to what Xbox has done with like, you don't need Xbox Live anymore. You can buy this whole bundle thing, and it's all the stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Second question.
Looking even further forward in years to come. It does mean EB games will end up like Blockbuster. I think EB games has already pivoted pretty well into being a pop culture store as opposed to a game store, so they'll probably get away with it. Blockbuster held on to, we rent videotapes for way too fucking way longer than they probably should have.
Yeah.
When they should have transitioned into being a HMV or a Sanity or whatever the fuck. Even those never wound up lasting. A JB Hi-Fi perhaps. Looking further forward in years to come, may create a scenario that we are already seeing where Sony and Microsoft will own lots of game studios. Will this benefit the industry overall? The industry, probably. The consumer, maybe not. Because if they wind up, if most developers wind up being AA, most of the already AA developers wind up being AA first party developers, what we wind up seeing is, I think we'll wind up seeing more of what we've already seen with the television situation, where you've got like too many subscriptions that you need to keep track of, and you're like, oh well, I gotta have Disney for Loki, and I gotta have Netflix so I can watch Tenet again, work out what the fuck was going on in that, and then I gotta have Stan so I can watch, and I gotta have Apple TV, and it's inevitably will wind up being anti-consumer, but I do not think I do not think that it will come to that for a little while yet. Microsoft's certainly going to continue to buy, because that appears to be a strategy that is working for them. But I think they'll wind back a little now. I think the Bethesda acquisition,
Game Pass goes up in price.
That's huge.
I think Game Pass goes up in price at some stage.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen. That is definitely going to happen. But we don't know what their tipping point is for when they feel like they've got enough people
a month.
They can just fuck, that'd be hilarious. And if Microsoft sort out the issues with Game Pass on PC, mods installing, etc., Steam may have to bring out something similar to prevent itself from just being a launcher for Dota and CSGO. And see, this is where the nightmare kicks off, right? If Steam were to do something like that, and I'm not convinced that they will, because they are pretty firmly, as a business philosophy, they have a firm pro-consumer stance, just because Gabe dearly believes that consumers will pay more if they're being treated well. So I don't know that they ever will do this, but it's a pretty strong point, and I think we will know that Microsoft are doing something better with the fucking store as early as before the end of this fucking month, maybe next week, even when they announce Windows 11. I've heard rumors that they're fixing this shit.
Yeah.
People have watched that video I made about how it's
Your
the
mate
Windows Store is holding Game Pass
Bill.
back.
Bill watched it.
Huh?
Bill
Yeah,
watched it.
Mr. Gates is what I call him.
What
But yeah,
about
no, people have
what
watched
about
it.
Bulma? Did he watch it?
No, he's too busy
Watching his team
shitting things
lose.
up on the sideline. Lamenting the fact that Kyrie's fucking hurt. Did you see this shit? I woke up this morning.
Yeah, everyone's
right. What the fuck? Chris Paul's got COVID?
No, COVID protocol. Someone he was with probably had it. Maybe he's got it.
Like, it was legit like when fucking Troy comes back with the pizzas and everything's on fire. That's what waking up this morning and reading the basketball news was like. I'm like, what the fuck has happened here? This is insane. Like, it's just all gone to shit. It already went to shit when Mr. Glass couldn't fucking play for the Lakers in the fucking first round. But fucking Kyrie, James Harden, like, it's quite the list of
Jamal Murray,
heavy duty injuries. Yeah,
Embiid.
Fuck me, man. Like, Christ, what a nightmare.
Yeah, I think Valve or Steam could do a pass on their thing, but it's not like, hey, you pay this much and you get all the games, like an opt-in service. Like, they actually go out and start doing like sort of what Game Pass is, and like, hey, this month these games are being added to the Steam Game Pass and these ones are being removed, like this rotating thing of games in there. I think that'd absolutely take off.
Yeah,
they've got a huge selection of games they could put in there, and the amount of indie games they could grab to be like, all right, chucking all these things in there. Like Apple does it the same sort of way. It must be on their radar. Like, it's not something they haven't thought about.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah. Was there anything else in that question?
That was it. Great questions.
Yeah.
Baz, thanks for writing in.
That was it. Bang on 3 hours. Okay. That is Beautiful. The show. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all the places you get your podcast from. We're under the Gap or the GA podcast. Please rate and review the show. You have a moment, it helps other people find us. You can find us on social media, facebook.com/GA podcast, twitter.com/GA podcast. You can go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can jump in there, leave questions like Baz did, or just chat to people in general. In the general chat, jump into the voice channels, playing games, all sorts of fun things going on in there. You can also go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube, watch the podcast in video format if you want to. You don't have to. You can listen to it and just have it on the background. You can also go to our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all of those things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show, featured content, things like that. That is all thanks to our Patreon members who help support our website, the podcast, keeps things running. If you would like to do that, you can go to patreon.com/GA podcast, become a recurring member, a subscriber, patron.
Oh, it's the Gap Pass.
The Gap Pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get one free Joab a month. Get the podcast a little bit early on the days that we can do it when we're not under an embargo. So thank you to everyone that does that. We greatly appreciate your support. We do. Only like 10,000 patrons away from passing the new what is their podcast called? Neverland. The new giant bomb,
Neverland.
The new giant bomb crew.
The giant bomb guys. Yeah.
Nextlander.
That's it.
Who are currently at 11,888. That is insane.
Good Lord.
Well done to them.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, that's fucking amazing.
So there you go. Anything you'd like to talk about you've been working on for this week, or?
I believe you can actually go to IGN.com and see the videos I created about the Elder Scrolls Online. Things you need to know before getting into it, and what Blackwood's all about. You can go have a look at those now. They're up. They actually went up after we recorded the podcast last week, and they just didn't tell me. I think they were up before we recorded the podcast last week, and they just didn't tell me.
Nice.
But yeah, you can go check them out. You'll have to fucking dig deep though, because it's fucking E3, so it will be buried. But go have a look. I think they're pretty good videos at the end. So yeah.
Awesome. You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie. Or you can go to my YouTube page this week, I guess. youtube.com/channel. Is that how it works? /Luke Lawrie? I don't know. Is that how you link
it? / Luke Lawrie.
Oh.
That should work.
It doesn't work.
If you've set that to like as your channel name, you've got to set that as your channel.
I don't know what my channel name is.
Well, go set it as your channel name, you fucking dork.
Anyway, you can go do that. I put a Dead by Daylight video up
nice.
recently that's just past like 70,000. So you can go watch that if you want to. Otherwise, just go to my Twitter page where I don't post. But that is it for this week. What do you think we're talking about next week?
Ratchet Clank Steam demos.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
More
what do you
things
think?
to come.
Anything you've got? Oh yeah, yeah. There's one game that we're going to talk about. We can't talk about yet.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is it. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you had a good E3. Leave us your thoughts. Tell us what your favorite games were. What did you think was boring? Maybe Battlefield? Too much sand? I don't know. Let me know.
How dare you.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Love you. Bye.